Chapter 709. Cauldron Spirits. Sudden words startled the two brothers. This is the most precious treasure in the cauldron. Cauldron Spirit is inside. In the future, you too will be responsible for putting in all kinds of spiritual herbs. As for the refinement, Cauldron Spirit will be in charge, explained Zichen. Cauldron Spirit? Cauldron Spirit? The two looked at Zichen in puzzlement before turning to Cauldron Spirit in astonishment. Senior Cauldron Spirit, please come out and meet us, Zichen shouted at Cauldron Spirit. Soon after, Cauldron Spirit reappeared, dressed in a long white robe. His hair and beard were all white. He said to Qin Xing and Qin He, "Little ones, the two of you will be following me in the future. If you need to refine any medicinal pellets, just take the corresponding medicinal ingredients. I guarantee that you will receive medicinal pellets until your hands cramp." Looking at the old man and then at the towering cauldron, the two brothers were speechless. How many medicinal pellets would a cauldron as large as a mountain need to be refined this time? If it were blood origin pellets, one cauldron would produce at least 1,000. No, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000 pellets. To produce so many pellets in one cauldron would indeed be a miracle. We will have to trouble Senior to refine the medicinal pellets, said Zichen. Refining medicinal pellets has always been my duty. These are just minor issues. As long as the earth fire is set up and the materials are brought, we can start at any time, said Cauldron Spirit smilingly. He did not show the seriousness of an elderly person. Zichen nodded and said, I will leave the materials to Qin Xing and Qin He. Let's refine the medicinal pellets as soon as possible. Zichen then turned to the two brothers and said, The trade fair will begin in 2 months. During this time, you must refine as many medicinal pellets as you can. Feel free to take the spiritual herbs and ancient beast blood essences in the treasury. The two brothers finally recovered from their shock and nodded mechanically. All right, I will leave this place to the two of you. I will come back in 2 months. Open the formation and send me out, said Zichen. Qin Xing controlled the hand seals and opened a path for Zichen. Zichen walked out. As soon as he walked out, he saw Wang Qiong. Wang Qiong was at the foot of the mountain. When he saw Zichen, he asked in confusion, Why did you activate the defensive formation for no reason? Zichen smiled and said, There are things that cannot be revealed to the world. Once the news is leaked, it will bring trouble for no reason. It's better to be cautious. What is it? Wang Qiong asked curiously. He's a supreme alchemy treasure I brought out from the Wuji sect. It's because of him that I dared to promise to give you so many pills at the trade fair, Zichen said. If you're curious, you can go in and take a look. You'll definitely be surprised. I'll go another day. This is for you. Wang Qiong took out a token. It was the Pavilion Master token that Zichen had given him. Zichen took the token and said, You've worked hard for so many years. This is not only your heavenly barbarian pavilion, but also mine. Wang Qiong smiled. The two of them walked side by side in silence. After a long time, Zichen asked, Is there still no news from Sienna? No. Wang Qiong shook his head. Why didn't you stop her when she wanted to leave? I did, but she said that she believed that you were not dead. However, she also expected that you would be very powerful after breaking through. Therefore, she did not want to be a burden to you. She wanted to become stronger and become your capable helper, Wang Qiong said with a low sigh. She's so silly. Didn't I become stronger to protect her? Zichen muttered. His bright eyes were absent-minded for once. That night, Wang Qiong and the others held a celebration for Zichen to welcome his return after breaking through. During the banquet, Zichen got to know some cultivators who had broken through to the mid-stage primal core realm in the past 30 years. The banquet ended very late. Vice Pavilion Master Wang Qiong was also drunk that night and was carried away. Other than that, the other stewards also drank a lot. They all said that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was about to rise with Zichen's return. You've worked hard all these years. Chen raised his wine cup and toasted everyone. The next morning, Chen came to the main hall early and sat on the pavilion master seat. Not long after, Heifeng entered the main hall. He wanted to tell Chen in detail about what had happened in the past 30 years, as well as the current situation and changes of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. Wang Qiong was supposed to tell him, but the latter had drunk too much yesterday and was still unconscious. Many things had happened in the past 30 years. If he had to tell them in detail, he would not be able to finish it in a few months. Therefore, Heifeng chose the main points and gave a rough summary. All these years we have been cultivating primordial core cultivators. Currently, our Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion has more than 300 early-stage primordial core cultivators. All of them have withstood the heavenly lightning tribulation on their own, and all of them have been given elixir weapons. There are also more than 20 mid-stage primordial core cultivators, and all of them have been given good-grade elixir weapons. As for late-stage primordial core cultivators, no one has broken through yet. Generally speaking, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion had been developing in a good direction for the past 30 years. In the entire chaotic lands, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was definitely ranked among the top. However, there were not enough powerhouses in the pavilion, and Tyrant and the others had left one after another. They could not be used as a deterrent. However, in the past 30 years, other than the Qin family, Wang Qiong had handled everything well. Wang Qiong had contributed a lot to the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's success today. Now that Chen had returned, he represented the return of a powerhouse. He alone was enough to fight against many inner core cultivators in the late stage. Therefore, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was about to rise. Heifeng picked out the main points of what had happened in the past 30 years and spoke for a full 4 hours. Conflicts between forces? Chen frowned slightly when he heard this. Yes, in the past few years, many forces have been intentionally or unintentionally targeting the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. There have also been many conflicts in the open and in the dark, Heifeng said. Chen nodded. Conflicts between forces seemed to be very normal. It was the same for the major forces in the barbarian land in the past. It was still the same in the chaotic lands. As long as one was in a force, there would definitely be conflicts. If one wanted to have a higher chance of winning in a conflict, other than being strong, one had to find more allies. Looks like it's time to consider this problem, Chen sighed softly. For hours later, Heifeng finished his report and left. Then, Chen also left the main hall. After walking out of the main hall, he went straight to Ling Er's residence. It was time to guide Ling Er on the path of cultivation. Ling Er's residence was not far from Chen's. 2 female cultivators were in charge of her daily life. When they saw Chen, the female cultivators bowed respectfully. Where's Ling Er? Chen waved his hand and motioned for the 2 to rise. Pavilion Master, Miss Ling Er is resting in her room. It's already so late and she's not up yet? Chen was a little surprised. No, and Miss Ling Er didn't allow us to disturb her. All right, you may leave. As he spoke, Chen walked towards Ling Er's room. It was almost noon, but Ling Er had not woken up yet. Chen thought that she should be tired. After all, she was just a mortal, but she had followed him so far. However, as soon as he approached Ling Er's room, Chen felt a familiar chill spreading out from Ling Er's room. This was a chill that belonged to Extreme Yin, and only Chen was able to sense it. Could it be that she's tired from the recent journey, and the colding energy has gone berserk again? Chen's expression changed slightly as he directly entered Ling Er's room. At that moment, Ling Er was lying on the bed. Her face was filled with pain, and her lips were pale. There was a faint energy that resembled ice mist surrounding her body. The chill in the room was extremely dense. As if sensing Chen's arrival, Ling Er's eyelids moved, but she didn't open her eyes after trying a few times. Furthermore, her mouth trembled, but she couldn't say a word. Don't move. Don't be afraid. You'll be fine soon. Zi Qin stepped forward and pressed one hand on Ling Er's back. Finally, the extreme yin energy in his body surged out. This energy surged into Ling Er's body and drove the ice-cold aura in Ling Er's body through her narrow meridians. In addition, Zi Qin also mobilized the extreme yin vitality and circulated it through her body according to the circulation path of the perfect body. With the cold yin energy guided, Ling Er's cold body slowly returned to normal temperature. The painful expression on her face also slowly weakened. Remember the circulation route of this energy. In the future, cultivate according to this route, Zi Qin said. Ling Er completely relaxed when she heard that. She tried her best to remember the direction and location of the warm current. Zi Qin controlled the extreme yin energy and slowly circulated it through Ling Er's meridians. He didn't let Ling Er feel the slightest bit of pain. As it circulated, her meridians slowly expanded. Then this energy merged into her bones and blood vessels. Zi Qin didn't allow this energy to enter Ling Er's dantian. Instead, he allowed it to fuse with her body. This was a true meridian-changing and marrow-cleansing. It was a cleansing of the body, creating a more solid foundation for the already talented Ling Er. After the energy completely fused into her body, 2 days and 2 nights had passed. Ling Er's body emitted a faint glow. She had yet to cultivate, but she already had a foundation that everyone was envious of. All right, put on your clothes. I'll teach you the extreme yin arts now. Zi Qin stopped and heaved a sigh of relief. After 2 days of tempering, Ling Er's future cultivation path would be even smoother. In addition to the extreme yin arts, Zi Qin also passed on the perfect body to Ling Er. This was because the perfect body originally belonged to the Wuji sect. After learning the perfect body and the extreme yin arts, Ling Er could be considered to have embarked on the path of cultivation. Her realm also skyrocketed like a geyser. In just 3 days, she entered the peak of true energy, level 5. This speed made Zi Qin sigh in amazement. Ling Er's cultivation speed reminded him of himself in the past. Before he obtained Lei Yuan, his cultivation speed was simply terrible. Zi Qin's time began to repeat. It was monotonous and boring. In the morning, he dealt with the matters of the heavenly barbarian pavilion. After that, he carefully supervised Ling Er's cultivation and pointed out her shortcomings. As for the afternoon and night, Zi Qin began to cultivate. After breaking through to the Dan Prime realm, Zi Qin could already refine the energy elemental core. When he was forming the core, he experienced the 9 yin 9 yang lightning tribulation. His spiritual sense had transformed and become stronger. Therefore, Zi Qin could refine the energy elemental core without any worries. He wasn't afraid that his spiritual sense wouldn't be able to control the energy. Unfortunately, the energy elemental core that had the ultimate energy was impure in Zi Qin's eyes. After refining the impurities, there was less than 1/10 of the energy left in the energy elemental core. Chapter 710. Zi Qin's life was monotonous and repetitive. Qin Xing and Qin He, on the other hand, were busy refining medicinal pellets. It was not quite accurate to say that they were busy. It was more accurate to say that the two of them had been scolded for not doing anything proper for the past few days. "What are you holding?" Cauldron Spirit glared at the two of them. "Liquefied Yuan essence and ancient beast blood essence. These are for refining blood origin pellets." Qin Xing held a gourd of liquefied Yuan essence in his hand, while Qin he held several large jars in front of him. These were for refining blood origin pellets in large quantities. What blood origin pellets? Why have I never heard of them? Cauldron Spirit questioned. It seemed that the two of them had infuriated him greatly over the past few days. It's a medicinal pellet that has the same effect as mid-grade Yuan essence. However, when refined using this method, The ratio is as high as 1 to 10. That's 10 times the profit. Qin, he explained in a low voice. If it were a few days ago, he would have proudly explained himself. However, after being lectured by the old man for 2 days, the two of them no longer had the confidence to do so. Sure enough, the two of them were about to be lectured again. What? A blood origin pellet that has the same effect as mid-grade yuan essence? That pellet of rejuvenation is called blood origin pellet? What kind of lousy name is that? Furthermore, it only produced 10 times the profit after adding in the blood of ancient beasts and mid-grade yuan essence. Which prodigal son came up with this refining method? After 2 days of training, the two of them had learned how to adapt to any situation, silence. Seeing that the two of them had lowered their heads in silence, Cauldron's spirit felt bored after a few sentences and said, "So many things to refine, but so few. What a waste. Go and get a few more spirit rejuvenation grasses. The older, the better. Also, get a few more 1,000-year-old serpent fruits and some low-grade yuan essence." Cauldron's spirit then listed a few medicinal ingredients. They were all relatively common 1,000-year-old spiritual herbs. Of the other items, only the low-grade yuan essence was the most precious. The two brothers memorized the items one by one. Soon after, Qin, he left to search for those items. After 30 years, the treasury was stocked with medicinal ingredients. Cauldron's spirit had almost everything he wanted. Even if the treasury did not have them, they could be bought in the marketplace. In less than an hour, Qin, he had found all of these items and returned. "Throw them in and test them first." Cauldron's spirit waved his hand and said casually, "You're just going to throw them in like that? Don't you need to melt them one by one?" Qin Shing was startled. Clearly, he was very knowledgeable about alchemy and knew some of the details of alchemy. "I don't need you to teach me that. Just throw them all in," Cauldron's spirit replied. Qin Shing glanced at the items in his hand. There were more than 200 drops of mid-grade essence liquid, which was the most valuable of them all, worth several million high-grade essence stones. As for the rest, they were relatively cheap, with only the low-grade essence liquid being slightly more expensive. If this cauldron was ruined, the loss would be around 6 to 7 million, which was still within the acceptable range. After that, Qin Shing and Qin, he flew up and began to throw all kinds of medicinal ingredients into the huge pill cauldron. Just throw in 100 drops of mid-grade essence liquid. Throw in all the low-grade essence liquid. Cauldron Spirit said in a rather dissatisfied manner, "In the past, when refining pellets, all the medicinal ingredients added together could fill up at least half a cauldron. But now, they can't even cover the bottom of the cauldron." The duo chose to ignore Cauldron Spirit's complaints. As one medicinal ingredient after another was thrown in, the surface of the pill cauldron began to glow. Qin Shing lowered his head and looked down. He discovered that one formation after another lit up within the deep cauldron. Numerous medicinal ingredients were thrown into the numerous formations. Are we going to use formations to melt the ingredients? But there are so many ingredients, and they all have different melting points. How are we going to control the heat? Qin Shing was rather dumbfounded. "Hurry up and come down to draw out the earth fire. There are only 2 months left." "We need to hurry," Cauldron Spirit said when he saw that the duo's heads were about to drill into the pill cauldron. Following Cauldron Spirit's instructions, the duo came down and began drawing out the earth fire. As the hand seals were activated, the underground formation opened up. Moments later, the earth fire gushed out from the ground like a fountain. "Senior, to what extent should we maintain the fire?" Qin Shing asked. "Time is of the essence. The fire must be as big as possible," Cauldron Spirit said indifferently. At this moment, he had entered a state of refining medicine. He stood outside the pill cauldron and began to form hand seals. Then, one hand seal after another landed on the pill cauldron. As the earth fire continued to gush out, the medicinal ingredients and the blood of the ancient beasts in the pill cauldron began to melt. Every ingredient had reached the melting point. Sun Jian stood to the side and watched silently. There was nothing he could do to help at the moment. The earth fire was maintained to the maximum extent that the duo could control for 2 full days. After 2 days, a sweet fragrance wafted out from the pill cauldron. Rich spiritual energy gushed out from the cauldron cover. This was the sign that the pills were about to be completed. The duo was dumbfounded by the speed of the refinement. "All right, withdraw the fire." After 2 full days, Cauldron Spirit spoke again. This was the first time he had spoken during the 2 days of refining medicine. The blue flames retracted into the ground. Although the flames were gone, the sweet fragrance wafted out from the mouth of the pill cauldron became even more intense. This exotic fragrance lasted for 4 hours. After 4 hours, the entire mountain peak was filled with the intense fragrance of medicinal pellets. "The pills are done. Prepare to withdraw the pills." While Cauldron Spirit was speaking, the lid of the pill cauldron opened. Numerous medicinal pellets poured down from the sky. Faced with such a situation, the duo should have flown up, wrapped the medicinal pellets with their energy, and released them separately. However, the 2 of them were completely dumbfounded. Before they could even react, the numerous medicinal pills had smashed into their bodies. The round and smooth blood essence pills smashed into their bodies before falling to the ground, bouncing and rolling into the distance. "Are you dumb? Hurry up and withdraw the pellets," Cauldron Spirit shouted when he saw the fruits of his labor being wasted. It was only then that the 2 brothers came to their senses. They looked at each other and saw the astonishment in each other's eyes. There were more than 3,000 medicinal pellets. What kind of concept was this? 1 to 30? Previously, the Qin family claimed that their refining skills had reached the pinnacle. But compared to Cauldron Spirit, the difference was like heaven and earth. After counting the pellets, the duo was once again astonished. 100 drops of mid-grade elemental liquid had produced a total of 4,449 blood origin pellets. Qin Shing had swallowed one of the pellets to test its efficacy. The profit was as high as 1 to 45, but the efficacy of the pellets was indeed better than the Qin family's. Be it quality, quantity, or time, Cauldron Spirit's pellets were far superior to the Qin family's. Seeing the astonishment on the duo's faces, Cauldron Spirit proudly said, "This is nothing. It is merely a perfect combination of the effects of the blood of the primordial beasts and the elemental liquid. At most, this can be considered a trick, not a skill." "This can't be considered a skill?" The duo was stupefied. They did not realize that Cauldron Spirit was just showing off. "All right, what other medicinal pellets do you want to make? Let me have a look at them first. After that, we can start mass producing," said Cauldron Spirit. This time, the duo was much more proactive. Evidently, they had learned the newest medicinal pellet formula for the blood origin pellet. Soon after, they tested the remaining medicinal pellets. Cauldron Spirit also made improvements to all the medicinal pellets. Among them, the improvements to the pellets were the most significant. Furthermore, Cauldron Spirit proposed many spiritual medicines. The duo was very busy. Some of the spiritual medicines that the duo were unable to obtain from the upper echelons of the treasury due to their insufficient grade had alarmed Zichen. Zichen did not inquire about the duo's progress, as their excited expressions had already told him everything. After that, Zichen gave the duo special privileges to take whatever they wanted. At the same time, he also told them to bring Cauldron Spirit to the treasury when they had the time and see if those items could be used to refine other medicinal pellets. 10 days later, the patriarch of the Lu family came to visit. Zichen received him in the main hall. "Pavilion Master Zichen, these are the medicinal pellets that my Lu family has been refining over the years. They might be of use in the trade fair. I have brought them all here especially for you, Pavilion Master Zichen." The patriarch of the Lu family went straight to the point after entering the main hall and took out many items. These were the medicinal pellets that he had saved up after serving the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion for the past 30 years. Among them, there were 10 premium quality pellet weapons, 3 premium quality defensive leather armors, and 1 supreme quality pellet weapon. If these items were put up for auction, they would definitely fetch a sky-high price. These are the things that your Liu clan deserves. You should stay at the trade fair to exchange for the things that the Liu clan needs, Zichen said. The Liu family's refining skills were superb, and their success rate was also very high. The fact that the Liu family had only used the remaining materials to refine these 14 items over the past 30 years proved that the Liu family was pretty decent. Pavilion Master Zichen, this is a small token of appreciation from my Liu family. I hope that Pavilion Master will accept it. Besides, these items were refined using the materials of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. If Pavilion Master doesn't mind, you may as well pay us a processing fee, said the patriarch of the Liu family. Zichen pondered for a moment and said, The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion must develop, and so must the Liu family. I hope that the Liu family will become the strongest and most solid backing for the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion in the future. Of course. If Pavilion Master is willing, my Liu family can immediately move to this area and serve the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. The patriarch of the Liu family immediately expressed his stance. Zichen waved his hand and said, That won't be necessary. We are cooperating on an equal footing and will not interfere with the Liu family's business. However, I hope that the Liu family can complete the items we need on time. As soon as Zichen finished speaking, the patriarch of the Liu family patted his chest and promised that there would be no problem. The time for this trade fair is a little tight. Moreover, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion will enter the ancient beast world on a large scale after the trade fair. We do need elixir weapons. I will accept these items, but I will exchange them with materials of the same value. You can follow Hei Feng to get the materials later. Seeing that the patriarch of the Liu family was about to reject him, Zichen said, I said that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion must develop, and so must the Liu family. Therefore, we cannot let the Liu family suffer losses. Hei Feng, bring the Liu family to get the materials. Hei Feng acknowledged. The patriarch of the Liu family stood up and thanked him again. Just as the patriarch of the Liu family was about to walk out of the hall, Zichen suddenly said, I almost forgot. I have an incomplete piece here. I wonder if it will help the Liu family to refine weapons. As he spoke, a golden light spot shot out from between Zichen's eyebrows. This was one of the forging techniques that Zichen had inherited. At this moment, he had imprinted it with his spiritual sense and passed it to the patriarch of the Liu family. It was just a forging technique. There was nothing practical in it. The light spot entered between the Liu family's eyebrows. The patriarch's body shook. When he opened his eyes again, they were filled with excitement and shock. It was obvious that this item was extraordinary. Chapter 711. In the past 30 years, the Liu family had never done anything out of line. Zichen naturally would not take advantage of them. After giving the Liu family a forging technique, he asked Hei Feng to give the Liu family the same amount of resources. Other than resources, he also ordered a large number of elixir weapons. If the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion wanted to rise, they needed more powerful people, not just a powerful pavilion master. It was the same when they entered the ancient beast world. There would be a large amount of elixir essence from the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. As for elixir weapons and spiritual herbs, they naturally had to have enough. There was still some time before the trade fair in 2 months. Zichen continued to live a monotonous life. During this time, he used the time he spent refining elixirs to refine the King Ancient Beast's blood essence. This time, he did not use the blood essence to baptize it. Instead, he refined it bit by bit. While strengthening his physique, his strength also increased. On the mountain where he refined elixirs, the first batch of blood origin elixirs took 10 days to form. Before the refinement, Qin Xing and Qin he threw a large number of elixirs into the cauldron. Everything took up almost half of the cauldron. After 10 days, the elixirs were formed. The blood origin elixirs spat out from the cauldron were like raindrops falling from the sky. There were more than 100,000 elixirs in the cauldron. If all these elixirs were exchanged for vitality stones, the price would be unimaginable. After Qin Shing and Qin he recovered from their shock, they took out the elixirs again and refined a second batch. As for Sun Jian, he kept the elixirs in bottles. 10 elixirs in one bottle. After a day, his hands were cramping. 2 months passed quickly. Many factions came and entered the market. Other than the factions, there were also many independent cultivators. Everyone gathered at the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's market. In just a few days, the market had reached its peak. Of course, there were many cultivators who were waiting to see the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion make a fool of itself. How was it possible to surpass the Qin family's alchemy skills? The Qin family's alchemy skills had already reached the peak of this area. For this trade fair, all the factions in the land of chaos had arrived. Those who came were all in the late core realm. The scale was similar to when the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was first established. As for the Overlord faction, Shangguan Feixiong from the Shangguan family had also come. Due to the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion, Shangguan Feilin had lost his position as the head of the family. Although he had not appointed Shangguan Feixiong as the head of the family all these years, he had been handling almost everything. Other than that, Shangguan Yu had also come with Shangguan Feixiong after hearing the news of Zi Chen's return. The trade fair would be held in the original auction hall. Zi Chen had already arranged everything. Many medicinal pills and alchemy weapons were placed in the hall according to their grade. These halls were distributed. Everyone could enter a hall according to the number of people they had. As for the rogue cultivators, they could only enter the halls with fewer resources. Take the blood essence pills, for example. Some halls had 1 pill in a bottle. Some had 5 pills in a bottle. Some had 10 pills in a bottle. And the most was 100 pills in a bottle. Those major forces naturally headed straight for the hall with plenty of resources. In the various halls, Zichen also arranged for many inner core experts to identify the various resources and give them a price so that they could successfully exchange for other things. Other than that, the prices of the same items in each hall were different. Just as Zichen had said before, the more you wanted something, the more expensive it would be. Take the blood essence pills, for example. 1 bottle of blood essence pills could be exchanged for the blood of some ordinary ancient beasts. However, 1 bottle of 5 pills would require the blood of ancient beasts and other materials. A bottle of 10 pills would require far more resources on average than the previous bottle of 1 pill. As for a bottle of 100 pills, it was specially sold to the major forces. It would require 40 drops of mid-grade origin, liquefied origin pills. If one needed more than 1,000 pills, it would require 50 drops. Of course, there was a limit. Each person could not buy more than 3 bottles. This would prevent the major forces from buying 100 or 1,000 bottles of 1 pill per bottle. Today's trade fair was mainly about medicinal pills. The major forces went straight to the hall with the most resources. As for the smaller forces and rogue cultivators, they went to the other halls. The overlord forces were in front, while the other forces were behind. As soon as they entered the hall, they saw a dazzling array of medicinal pills. There were also shining elixir weapons. Among them, there were supreme-grade elixir weapons and supreme-grade defensive armor. The pavilion master of the Heavenly Man Pavilion, Zichen, was also in the hall. Pavilion Master Zichen. The leaders of the various forces came forward and greeted Zichen. Zichen smiled in response. So many medicinal pills. Pavilion Master Zichen is really generous. Many inner core experts sighed. Feel free to look at these items. If you need them, you can exchange for them. I can't guarantee anything else. As for these medicinal pills, the quality will definitely surpass that of the Qin family. Zichen smiled. Then, under the witness of the various forces, Zichen asked someone to bring out various medicinal pills for everyone to look at. Everyone present was in the later stage of the inner core realm. They were all very knowledgeable. After seeing these medicinal pills, they instantly felt that they were of extraordinary quality. Their eyes shone brightly. From the blood vitality pill to the treasure pill, everything was the same, especially the blood healing pill. The rich vitality that it exuded almost made people think that it was a small treasure pill. Just as many people were tempted and were about to make a trade, Zichen spoke again. Everyone other than elixir pills and elixir weapons, there will also be some ancient beast king's blood essence that will be sold in the trade fair. Everyone, please don't miss it. What? There's king ancient beast blood essences? Once this was said, it naturally attracted the attention of all the leaders. As they were in the later stage of the inner core realm, ordinary ancient beast blood essences were not very useful to them. Only the king ancient beast blood essences were useful to them. Of course, it was also useful to their families. Seeing everyone's expression, Zichen also believed what Wulu had said. In the ancient beast world, there was no king ancient beast level ancient beast. Of course, it's over there. There aren't many of them, only 50 to 60 drops. Don't miss it. Zichen smiled. Following Zichen's guidance, everyone's eyes fell on the jade bottles that were specially sealed in front of a beautiful maid. A drop of blood essence in a jade bottle was enough to prove its value. The rich and powerful overlords were the most interested. They wanted to see what they wanted to exchange for. But after taking 2 steps, Shangguan Feixiong stopped and said to Shangguan Yu, it's rare for you to come out. Go and look around. As for the ancient beast blood essences, I'll go. Saying that, Shangguan Feixiong glanced at Zichen. Zichen nodded with a smile on his face. Shangguan Yu nodded and stopped. The others went to exchange for the ancient beast blood essences. After the overlords left, only a few major forces were left. Although they were interested in the ancient beast blood essences, they naturally couldn't compete with overlords in this kind of situation. They gave up and exchanged for other things. After that, all kinds of trading sounds could be heard. Everyone was busy. Only Zichen and Yua were idle. Zichen, congratulations on your breakthrough. However, Sister Xian has left. She didn't see you come back. Zichen smiled and patted Yuer's head. I've made you worry all these years. After returning, Wang Qiong told him that Shangguan Yu had sent people to ask about him more than 10 times in the past 30 years. By the way, why didn't Bing she come with you? Zichen held Yu's hand and walked around the various halls. The 2 of them were a perfect match. Everywhere they went, people envied them. Bing, she left with Zhang Haoyan. Shangguan Yu said. What? They left? Did they elope? Zichen was surprised. Shangguan Yu shook her head and smiled. Of course not. However, little uncle was not willing at first. I don't know what the 2 of them said in the room, but when they came out, little uncle agreed. As she said that, Shangguan Yu covered her mouth and laughed. At that time, when the 2 of them came out, I noticed that there were 2 spots on little uncle's robes. One was at the front and the other at the back. Little uncle's face was ashen. Zichen smiled when he heard that. It was obvious that Zhang Haoqian had proven his strength in front of his father-in-law. Once the killing inheritance was revealed, Zhang Haoqian, who was not weaker than a Tian realm cultivator, would have no problem suppressing Shangguan Feixiong silently. Zichen had taken out enough resources for this auction. Many people were shocked by his generosity. Furthermore, the quality of the medicinal pills was indeed better than the ones made by the Qin family. They didn't see Zichen's joke. Instead, they were shocked and in awe. Due to the ancient beast world, the entire land of chaos was in a state of alert. Therefore, medicinal pills were exchanged the fastest at the trade fair. Among them, the blood origin pills were exchanged by the thousands. As for the items exchanged, they were either ancient beast series or various unique materials. There were also many low-grade and mid-grade origin liquids. With these resources, Zichen could quickly refine medicinal pills and elixir weapons to equip the cultivators of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. In a situation where there was not much difference in combat power, having a strong elixir weapon and various medicinal pills was the capital to defeat the enemy. The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion had earned a lot from this trade fair. Everyone was busy, but Zi Qian and Yuer had nothing to do. After changing the entire trade fair, they left the trade fair and entered the market. After not seeing each other for so many years, the two of them had endless things to talk about. Close to 60 drops of ancient Beast King blood essence were divided equally among the 5 overlords. As for the resources used to exchange for the blood essence, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was naturally satisfied. Then came the blood origin pills. This time, the overlords were obviously going to enter the ancient beast world in large numbers. Directly consuming mid-grade origin liquids would be a waste. If they exchanged them for blood origin pills, they could save half of the cost. Therefore, the overlords weren't stingy. Every overlord announced that they would exchange for 10,000 blood origin pills. 10,000 blood origin pills require 5,000 drops of mid-grade origin liquids. If the 5 of you want them, it will be 25,000 drops. The service staff had a professional smile on his face. We have 25,000 drops of mid-grade origin liquids. But can you take out 50,000 blood origin pills at once? One of the overlords asked. The service staff smiled and said yes. Surprise flashed across the 5 people's faces. Then they took out jade bottles one after another. The jade bottles were sparkling and translucent, emitting a colorful glow. Inside each jade bottle were 100 drops of mid-grade origin liquid. There was also a seal on each jade bottle to prevent spiritual energy from leaking out. Chapter 712. Placed in front of the 5 were 5 crudely made jade buckets. Although there were formations on the buckets, they were extremely crude. What is this? Although Shangguan Feixiong had already guessed, he still asked. These are all blood origin pills. 10,000 per bucket, plus 10 extra, explained the attendant with a smile. His service was very good, but when the 5 heard this, they had the urge to vomit blood. Buckets. Blood origin pills were actually stored in buckets, and they were extremely crude buckets, without any fine craftsmanship. Looking at the rotten jade barrel, and then looking at the jade bottles of essence liquid they took out, the two were simply not on the same level. Each jade bottle had been carefully crafted, exquisite and beautiful, and the seal on each bottle was the same. Just by looking at the appearance of the jade bottles, one could tell that the essence liquid inside was a treasure. But when they looked at the packaging of the things they exchanged for with their origin liquid, it was simply vulgar, and unsightly. At this moment, everyone seriously suspected that what they exchanged for with 5,000 mid-grade origin liquid was a bucket of useless trash. But that was not the case. After checking, the 5 found that the quality of the blood origin pills was very high, and there were indeed 10,010 of them. The extra 10 were Zi Chen's discount. The items were indeed good, but the packaging made the 5 feel extremely unbalanced. They felt like they had suffered a great loss. This Zi Chen is too unreliable. The blood vitality pills we passed by all had exquisite packaging, but there was at least 1 pill in each of those exquisite packaging. We asked for 10,000 pills, but he didn't even pack them properly and just put them in the bucket. The 5 of them were a bit dissatisfied with Zi Chen's disregard for his image. In addition to the blood origin pills, they also needed other pills, so they continued to exchange. In the following exchange, they received the same treatment. In their eyes, the medicinal pills that were extremely precious and hard to come by were all used in buckets by Zi Chen. The precious and rare materials they had taken out were exchanged for buckets after buckets of medicinal pills from Zi Chen. Such a strong contrast made the 5 of them want to vomit blood. Fortunately, the precious pills they bought at the last moment were in bottles of 1 pill. Moreover, the packaging was extremely exquisite, and it could be said to be exquisitely crafted. Looking at the packaging of the treasure pills, the 5 of them were so moved that they nearly cried. They had spent a lot of resources on this purchase, and now they finally saw a packaging that was equal to their resources. Compared to the hegemonic powers, the other powers didn't buy as many things as they did. However, the packaging of the things they bought was extremely good. Even for the forces that bought thousands of blood essence pills, the service staff would give them small jade jars containing 100 blood essence pills. Although the packaging wasn't exquisite, at least the jade jars would glow. There were many ingredients, resources, and medicinal pills in this trade fair. It could be said to be the largest trade fair in history. Within a short day, the amount of ingredients traded had reached an astronomical figure. While everyone was sighing at the many resources they had obtained, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion had also earned a lot. Moreover, such a large trade fair naturally wouldn't end in a single day. Many of the large factions realized that the resources they received were too little, but the items they needed to exchange for were too many. Thus, they immediately stepped onto the teleportation array to return to the inner region. They would return to their clans to get their resources. The next day, as soon as the sky brightened, they would take the teleportation array back to the inner region. Although the teleportation fee from here to the inner region was very high, compared to the items obtained in the trade fair, the teleportation fee was nothing. This grand trade fair lasted for 3 days. After 3 days, the trade fair ended under the reluctant gazes of many cultivators. This time, the large factions had indeed bought many things, but the items that many of the rogue cultivators had exchanged for were not to be underestimated. Among them, there was a cultivator who found a rare ingredient and directly used it to exchange for 2 blood essence pills. Because this trade fair was open to the public, there were many similar events in these 3 days. The most special one was a rogue cultivator's core essence pill, who directly used the ingredient to exchange for a treasure pill. After 3 days, the trade fair ended. During these 3 days, Yu Er had been with Zichin. 3 days passed as quickly as 6 hours. After the trade fair ended, he handed Yu Er an exquisite jade bottle. "What is this?" Yu Er looked at the jade bottle and asked curiously. She didn't directly accept it. "Ancient Beast King Blood Essence." Zichin handed the jade bottle to Yu Er. "Ancient Beast Blood Essence is very precious. I can't accept it. Besides, you already gave me something last time. It's worth a lot." Yu Er took 2 steps back and didn't accept the jade bottle. Zichin smiled and said, "To others, this thing is very precious, but to me it's just ordinary. Don't refuse, just take it." Zichin didn't allow Yu Er to refuse again and forced the jade bottle into Yu Er's hand. Then Zichin pressed his hand on Yu Er's jade hand and said, "If your uncle asks, you can tell him that there are 5 drops of ancient beast blood essence in here." Yu Er was intelligent. When Zichin spoke, she understood Zichin's meaning. After obediently nodding, she looked at Zichin with an extremely apologetic gaze. "Don't worry." Zichin smiled and pulled Yu Er towards the trade fair. "Where are we going now? Are we going back?" Yu Er's voice was obviously filled with disappointment. After going back, they would have to part ways. After parting for a long time, they wouldn't be able to see each other again. This was something she didn't like. This time, many forces have sent late Primal Core experts. It won't be as simple as just participating in the trade fair. There should be something else to discuss. Zichin said as he walked. Sure enough, when Zichin arrived at the trade fair, the leaders of the various forces had already gathered together. Even the Vice Pavilion Master Wang Qiong was there. It seemed that only Zichin was missing. Seeing Zichin arrive, everyone came up to him. First, they congratulated Zichin on the success of the trade fair. Then, they expressed their gratitude. Because this trade fair, Zichin didn't give a high price. It was even lower than what they expected. Everyone was very satisfied. After Yu Er arrived, she walked up to Shangguan Feixiong. The latter seemed to be asking something. After Yu Er answered, his already smiling face became even more radiant, like a blooming chrysanthemum. Then, before everyone's eyes, Shangguan Feixiong took the jade bottle away. He even said that he was keeping it for Yu Er. Regarding this, Zichin couldn't express his dissatisfaction. As for the others, they couldn't say anything either. You all must have something to discuss. After greeting each other, Zi-chan went straight to the point. Indeed. Everyone nodded. Then, follow me to the meeting place. Then, Zi-chan brought everyone to the meeting hall. After arranging for everyone to sit down, Zi-chan asked, "What do you want to discuss? Is it about the ancient beast world?" After everyone looked at each other, they used their eyes to choose a spokesperson. It was Shangguan Feixiong. After Shangguan Feixiong received the approval, he said, "That's right. It's about the ancient beast world. I think that the entire Bedlam lands should unite and form an alliance." Everyone had probably already discussed this in private. Only Zi-chan and Wang Qiong didn't know. Now that Shangguan Feixiong had spoken, everyone nodded in agreement. However, at this moment, Shangguan Feixiong suddenly changed the topic and said, "Of course, this is not the first thing I want to say. It's the second thing." Everyone was stunned. This seemed to be out of character. This wasn't what they had planned. The second thing? What's the first thing? Zi-chan asked curiously. The others also looked at Shangguan Feixiong curiously. "This is a private matter. It's about our Shangguan clan's little princess, Shangguan Yu. After saying that, Shangguan Feixiong looked at Zi-chan. Everyone's gaze also fell on Zi-chan and Shangguan Yu. Zi-chan looked at Shangguan Yu and found that she was also looking at him. Her eyes were filled with confusion and confusion. Clearly, she didn't know what Shangguan Feixiong was going to say. "Oh, I wonder what it is about Yu." In a situation where no one else spoke, only Zi-chan spoke. "It's about Yu's marriage. This should have been done 30 years ago, but Yu was stubborn and delayed it for 30 years. Shangguan Feixiong looked at everyone and then at Zi-chan. "Zi-chan, as Yu's elder, I have to ask you a question. Do you like Yu? Do you want to marry her?" Zi-chan looked at Shangguan Feixiong, but didn't answer. He had always been slow when it came to relationships. Now that Shangguan Feixiong wanted him to answer in front of so many people, Zi-chan didn't know what to say. Seeing the awkward expression on Zi-chan's face, Shangguan Feixiong sneered in his heart. He had already expected this scene and knew that Zi-chan wouldn't take the initiative to ask. So, after learning from the experience of a certain clan, he directly asked this question in this situation. "Yu is our Shangguan clan's little princess. Even if she likes you and is dead set on following you, we won't force you if you don't like her." Shangguan Feixiong continued. Hearing this, the others felt disdain in their hearts. Everyone knew what Shangguan Feixiong was scheming. If Zi-chan really didn't like Shangguan Yu, then the Shangguan clan wouldn't be able to gain any advantage in every transaction. However, it was clear that Shangguan Feixiong didn't care about these small gains and had already started to cast his net to catch the big fish. As for the big fish, it was naturally Zi-chan who had successfully formed his gold core and possessed 2 types of ultimate energy. After successfully forming his gold core, Zi-chan's future was very smooth. If he was given enough time to grow, Zi-chan would have no problem breaking through to the human core realm. Moreover, at the human core realm, he would be the strongest in the same realm as he was now. At that time, Zi-chan's battle strength would definitely shake the entire fringe. Therefore, tying this big fish to the boat was the right thing to do. This was a problem that couldn't be ignored. After forming his gold core, Zi-chan had the ability to lead the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion to surpass the overlords and become the strongest force in the fringe. Chapter 713. Facing Shangguan Feixiong's aggressive gaze, Zi-chan didn't know what to say. Looking to the side, Shangguan Yu lowered her head, her face blushing. Obviously, she was also waiting for Zi-chan's reply. If he didn't give her a good answer, she would definitely be hurt. As for the others, they all had complicated expressions on their faces. But no matter what their expressions were, no one had any intention of giving Zi-chan any advice. Some even had the mischievous thought that Zi-chan would suddenly explode and say, "I'm not willing. Hurry up and say yes. She's such a good girl." A voice transmission sounded in Zi-chen's mind. It was from Wang Qiong. Zi-chen didn't know how to answer. Right now, there were 4 figures flashing in his mind. Wang Xianer, Su Mengyao, Lin Shui, and Shangguan Yuer. If it was an engagement, Zi-chen wouldn't mind. But Shangguan Feixiong wanted to marry him. What's wrong? You don't want to? Seeing that Zi-chen didn't answer for a long time, Shangguan Feixiong's voice suddenly turned cold. He then said, "It's fine if you don't want to. It seems like our Shangguan family is trying to climb up the social ladder with you, Zi-chen." As he spoke, Shangguan Feixiong pulled Yuer and said, "Yuer, follow me." Shangguan Yuer's eyes were red. When she was pulled by Shangguan Feixiong, she raised her head and looked at Zi-chen. Her eyes were filled with confusion, doubt, and disappointment. But more than that, she felt wronged. At this moment, Yuer seemed to have lost her soul. She allowed Shangguan Feixiong to pull her along. Her footsteps were mechanical, but her eyes were fixed on Zi-chen. Wait. It was also at this moment that Zi-chen suddenly stood up and shouted to stop them. "What's wrong? What do you want to say?" Shangguan Feixiong stopped and turned his head, saying coldly. However, he was actually overjoyed inside, thinking that the Wang family's method was indeed effective. On this matter, he had to provoke Zi-chen and force him into a dead end. "Don't worry about it. I'll deal with it one by one. I'll explain it to them when I see them in the future." Zi-chen was ready to go all out. "Isn't it just marrying you? There's nothing to be afraid of," Zi-chen thought to himself. As for the 3 of them, he could only explain it to them when they met. "Senior, don't be so agitated. Let's sit down and talk." Zi-chen's expression had returned to normal. "If you have something to say, just say it," Shangguan Feixiong said coldly, but the slight smile on his face showed how proud he was. "Shameless." The others were filled with disdain. "Actually, marrying you, has always been my wish. Naturally, I'm very happy to do so. For Senior to be willing to marry you, to me, is something that I, Zi-chen, have cultivated over several lifetimes," said Zi-chen. "You don't mean what you say. You were clearly hesitating a moment ago," Shangguan Feixiong said, ignoring the disdainful looks from the surrounding people. "Misunderstanding. This is definitely a misunderstanding. Actually, I was a bit dizzy from the sudden happiness. I didn't react immediately." Zi-chen explained. "So you're saying that you were so excited that you forgot yourself. It's not that you don't want to marry you." Shangguan Feixiong looked at Zi-chen. That's right. I promised that I was just too excited. I didn't have any other thoughts." Zi-chen promised. "Haha, Zi-chen, I knew that you were a good person. You was right to choose you." Shangguan Feixiong couldn't suppress the pride in his heart. He laughed out loud, but then he said, "But your promise is useless. You're not marrying me. Whether you marries you or not is up to her. You have to ask her first. If she's not willing, then my Shangguan family will respect her decision. You, are you willing to marry me?" Zi-chen helplessly looked at you, and asked gently. Cough, cough. "I don't think the script used to be like this." Shangguan Feixiong coughed lightly. He was referring to the script used by the Wang family. It seemed that the Wang family had benefited a lot from it. However, before he could point it out, Yu was already embarrassed. She said softly, "I'm willing." Although her voice was soft, everyone heard it clearly. Those who knew Shangguan Feixiong's plan were amused. Shangguan Feixiong was dumbfounded. She agreed, just like that. "But I haven't even asked for the betrothal gift." Wasn't he agreeing a little too quickly? Before Shangguan Feixiong could ask for the betrothal gift, the other Elixir Realm cultivators started clapping and praising the 2 of them. They were a match made in heaven. Other than that, many people also congratulated Shangguan Feixiong. This made him swallow the words that he was about to say. "All right, let's talk about the ancient beast realm." After a simple agreement, the others started talking before they could discuss the details. It was time to get down to business. "All right, we'll talk about the betrothal gift later. Now, let's talk about the ancient beast realm. Shangguan Feixiong finally mentioned the word betrothal gift. However, this time, before he could talk about the ancient beast realm, someone spoke first. Since Pavilion Master Zichen is here today, I also have something that I need your approval for. The person who spoke was another overlord, the Wu family. Behind the powerhouse from the Wu family stood a tall and beautiful lady. Zichen had an impression of this lady. She was the winner of the flight competition when the Sky Barbarian Pavilion had opened 30 years ago. The Wu family's expert stood up and looked at Zichen. Zichen was confused. He didn't understand what the other party wanted to say and what he wanted him to do. Please speak. Zichen gestured with his hand. This is a direct descendant of the Wu family, Wu. She's the most talented woman in the family. Pavilion Master Zichen should have an impression of her. The Wu family's expert pointed at Wu Yu. Zichen nodded, then turned to look at Wu Yu, only to find that she had actually lowered her head. Her face flushed red. She looked exactly the same as Shangguan Yu, or earlier. Zichen was confused and at a loss. Could it be that Wu Yu was also related to him? I remember that the champion of the competition was very strong and valiant. In the blink of an eye, more than 30 years have passed, and she has become more and more beautiful. I really don't dare to recognize her anymore, Zichen praised. However, he was trying to say that they weren't close. They hadn't seen each other for 30 years. The Wu clan cultivator smiled and said, Pavilion Lord Zichen, you really know how to joke. However, what I'm about to say next is Wu Yu's matter. I hope Pavilion Lord Zichen can make the decision. Make a decision? What decision? Zichen was at a loss. I hope Pavilion Master Zichen can make the decision and betroth Wu Yu to Deputy Pavilion Master Wang Qiong. Zichen was stunned by the Wu family's expert's words. The others were also surprised. However, it didn't concern him. Zichen reacted quickly and said, Our Deputy Pavilion Master Wang Qiong's parents are still alive. So are his ancestors. I don't think it's my turn to make the decision. In fact, Zichen couldn't make the decision. At the same time, he couldn't figure out the other party's intention. I've discussed this with the Wang family. However, they all said that Wang Qiong is in the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion, so you should make the decision. I think that if the marriage is successful, it'll be considered an alliance between the Wu family and the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. The Wu family's expert said, Although I'm the Pavilion Master, the marriage is very important. Moreover, I'm not the one getting married. It seems that you should ask the Deputy Pavilion Master for his opinion. Zichen looked like he was in a difficult position. In fact, there was something he didn't say. Wang Qiong was his future brother-in-law. How could he make the decision for his brother-in-law's marriage? The others were also confused. What was wrong with this overlord force? They were usually so arrogant. They didn't even agree when others proposed with betrothal gifts. Now that they met the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion, they actually took the initiative to send their women to them. This matter actually started 30 years ago when the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion opened. Back then, Wu Yu had feelings for Deputy Pavilion Master Wang Qiong for the first time. After returning, she couldn't forget Deputy Pavilion Master Wang Qiong. Over the years, she often went to the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion to see Deputy Pavilion Master Wang Qiong. In the past 30 years, the two of them met a few times. Wu Yu hasn't married because her heart is with Deputy Pavilion Master Wang Qiong, the Wu family's expert said. After hearing the Wu family's expert's words, Zichen finally understood why Wang Qiong didn't reply to his voice transmission. It turned out that the two of them had been in contact over the years. It could be seen that in the past 30 years, Wang Qiong had other side businesses besides managing the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. If you're not willing, I'll just reject you directly. Zichen sent another voice transmission. His voice was obviously teasing. After a long while, Wang Qiong sent a voice transmission and said awkwardly, Actually, there's nothing between us. We just met a few times and have a good impression of each other. So, according to you, all of you have agreed, and I'm the only one who's still in the dark? This time, Qin didn't have to wait for long. Wang Qiong sent a voice transmission. Don't listen to the Wu family. Little Yu has been interested in me all these years, but the Wu family has been obstructing us and firmly opposed it. If you didn't suddenly come back, little Yu might have already married someone else. You said nothing just now, but now you're calling her little Yu. I feel disgusted on your behalf. Qin teased. The matter was clear. Both parties had feelings for each other. Chen naturally couldn't do anything to break them up. Moreover, the marriage between the two was equivalent to forming an alliance with the Wu family. This was also a necessary step for forces to take. In the end, Chen made the final decision. He said, "Since the Wu family is willing, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion will naturally agree as well." Then Chen smiled and said, "The Wu family can choose the date and betrothal gifts. However, you can't ask for the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion." Everyone laughed. The marriage alliance with the Wu family was settled, just like that. The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion had already formed an alliance with two overlord forces before the proper business was even discussed. This made everyone have some strange thoughts. However, from these two matters, it could be seen that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's rise was unstoppable. Dan Yuan from the Wu family sat down. After that, no one else brought up the marriage alliance. Thus, Shangguan Feixiong stood up and started talking about the proper business. "This time, we're gathered to discuss entering the ancient beast world," Shangguan Feixiong said. Shangguan Feixiong said, "This time our people went into the ancient beast world and found people from other regions." People from other regions. That's right. Although we haven't seen any sky martial artists yet, we've seen demons from the wasteland. Chapter 714. The wastelands were the habitat of the monster race. The strongest monster race there was the Dragon Man race. Back then, Qin had massacred the monster race in the wastelands in the ancient battlefield. You met the monster race. Both sides should have fought, right? Qin asked after some thought. Shangguan Feixiong nodded and said, "That's right. The monster race is very barbaric. They attack without saying anything." Chen was not surprised that the two sides fought. Back in the ancient battlefield, when the demon race saw them, they were not friendly. In the end, Chen slaughtered them. As for the result of this battle with the demon race, Chen did not need to ask to guess. Defeat, and a crushing defeat at that. Otherwise, those arrogant overlords and the other powers wouldn't have requested for an alliance. What kind of place is the ancient beast world? Chen did not talk about the alliance. Instead, he asked about the ancient beast world. Shangguan Feixiong thought for a while and said, "It's a small world, but it's not much different from the real world. Although it has been discovered for decades, our people still can't find out how big it is. It's very complicated, and there are passages and exits to other regions. We suspect that it's another ancient battlefield." Then, Shangguan Feixiong explained the situation of the ancient beast world in detail. This was the secret of the overlords. It was the first time that many forces had heard about it. After understanding the ancient beast world, the next step was to discuss the alliance. The reason why the land of chaos formed an alliance is to avoid infighting. "Our enemies are from other regions," Shangguan Feixiong said. The others nodded. Obviously, many forces had agreed. Now, they were waiting for the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion to agree. Chen thought for a while, but did not agree immediately. Shangguan Feixiong continued, "We've already discussed before coming. The exit of the ancient beast world is completely open to the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. The people of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion can enter and leave as they wish without paying anything. However, we hope that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion can help when our allies are in danger." To put it bluntly, they were interested in the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's battle power. They hoped that they could use the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion to suppress the cultivators from other regions. Now that we're in a new world, we can't fight among ourselves. We need to work together to face the outside world. I agree with that. Qin agreed to the alliance. Next, it was time to discuss the details of entering the ancient beast world. This included the number of people and the timing. Most of the forces were concerned about when the heavenly barbarian pavilion would enter the ancient beast world and whether Qin would go with them. Qin thought about it seriously and said, "In half a year I will personally lead the team there." Half a year. Everyone was stunned when they heard this. They had thought that the heavenly barbarian pavilion would enter within a few months, but it was half a year later. This answer was somewhat beyond their expectations. Qin nodded and explained, "In this half a year, the heavenly barbarian pavilion will become a permanent ally with the Wu family. Yuer and I will also hold our engagement ceremony at this time." This was a decision that Qin had made after serious consideration. Currently, the heavenly barbarian pavilion needed allies, and the Wu family and the Shangguan family were undoubtedly the best forces to become allies. Of course, the most important thing was that Wang Qiong and Wu Yu were in love with each other. It would be the same if they got married as soon as possible. The Wu family and the Shangguan family were naturally happy and expressed that there was no problem. The other forces also congratulated them. After an hour, the crowd dispersed. Wu Yu followed the Wu family's experts back. As for the betrothal gift, the heavenly barbarian pavilion would send it over at a later date. The Shangguan family was in the same situation. Qin did not give the betrothal gift immediately. However, just as Yuera was about to leave, Qin gave her an exquisite jade bottle. This is still the blood essence of a king-level ancient beast, but I specially chose it based on your elemental energy. Remember not to give it to anyone else. Keep it for yourself. After giving the jade bottle to Yuer, Qin instructed her telepathically. Shangguan Yuer nodded solemnly, her eyes filled with happiness. After that, Yuer followed Shangguan Feixiong into the teleportation formation. Qin watched as Yuer disappeared. "She has already left." "Stop looking," Qin joked as he looked at Wang Qiong beside him. "Aren't you the same?" Wang Qiong laughed. "How was the trade fair this time?" Qin asked a passerby who was returning. "The gains were greater than I expected." Qin hesitated for a moment and said, "Don't you think this matter is too rushed?" "My marriage has already been decided by you. Don't you think it's too late to ask for my opinion now?" Wang Qiong joked. Then his expression turned serious. "Although the heavenly barbarian pavilion has a strong foundation now, we don't have a late-stage primordial core expert to hold the fort. If we have so many late-stage primordial core experts 100 years later, we will be able to intimidate everyone with our strength. We won't need to form an alliance deliberately. However, from the looks of it, forming an alliance with an overlord force is a must." Then Wang Qiong looked at Qin and said, "If I'm not wrong, you will be heading to other regions in the ancient beast world this time." "I came back this time to establish the Wuji sect in the barbarian land. I was going to ask LV Peng to build a teleportation formation to the barbarian land. However, LV Peng is not here. Tyrant, Zhang Haotian, and the others have also left. Without an expert to hold the fort, there is no point in establishing the Wuji sect. This matter can be delayed." Qin did not hide anything and said directly, "As for me entering the ancient beast world, I have no intention of coming back because I want to find Xian Er, Meng Yao, and Lin Shui." Back then, Lin Shui and Lu Qin came to the chaotic lands together. So many years have passed, but there is no news of them. Moreover, we made such a big commotion and did not attract the two of them. As long as they are fine, they must have left this region. There are so many people. It is easier said than done to find one person. Wang Qiong sighed. He knew both Lin Shui and Lu Qin. They came here because they were in the flight realm. It was difficult to travel in the chaotic lands using the flight realm. They could lose their lives at any time. There was indeed a teleportation formation to the outside world in the chaotic lands, but it required a huge number of yuan stones. According to their situation, they should not be able to afford it. Therefore, when Qin mentioned this topic, Wang Qiong did not continue because he could not imagine the consequences. Although half a year's time is short, it's barely enough for you to get engaged and married. Furthermore, I guarantee that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion will hold a grand wedding for you. You don't have to do anything during this period of time. Just wait for the big day to come. I'll inform the Wang family and prepare the betrothal gifts for you. After that, Zichen brought up the topic of the wedding. What betrothal gifts? Wang Qiong was curious. A supreme-grade alchemy weapon and a supreme-grade defensive stomach, said Zichen. Wang Qiong's generosity caused shock to appear on his face. Such a valuable item. You should know that it is impossible to get it back after giving it away. It seems that I have already experienced it personally, said Zichen with a smile. Wang Qiong naturally knew that Zichen was talking about the betrothal gifts given to Xianer. Those were two treasures that the Wang family had taken away. Ignoring Zichen's teasing, Wang Qiong said, "You are obviously strengthening the Wu family by giving away these two treasures. So be it. My Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's Vice Pavilion Master is getting married. If the betrothal gifts given are too weak, others will complain. Moreover, it is only a set of supreme-grade items. When the Liu family's forging skills improve a little more, and they refine supreme-grade items, a mere set of supreme-grade items will be nothing," said Zichen casually. As the two chatted, they returned to the original trade fair. Wu Lu, Heifeng, and the other mid-stage primal core experts were counting their gains. When they saw Zichen arrive, they all stood up and bowed respectfully. There were many small booklets in front of them that recorded every transaction. "How is it? Are the statistics out?" asked Zichen. They looked at each other, and Wu Lu said, "There are too many things this time. At present, we can only count the amount of yuan liquid." "Oh, then how much yuan liquid did we get this time?" asked Zichen curiously. "There are 41,568 drops of mid-grade essence liquid and 218,733 drops of low-grade essence liquid. It seems that there are quite a lot of things. It seems that the foundations of these factions are not shallow." A surprised expression appeared on Zichen's face. He was extremely satisfied with the gains this time. "Time is of the essence. You guys work a little harder and quickly count the items. Let me see the list." "Oh, right. Where are Qin Xing and Qin He?" "Why don't I see them?" asked Zichen after instructing them. "The two of them are sorting out the herbs in the herb storehouse," answered Wu Lu. Zichen nodded and left with Wang Qiong, heading directly to the herb storehouse. The herb storehouse was a storehouse with a radius of more than 1,000 meters. At this moment, the storehouse was filled with various jade boxes, all of which contained herbs. The two brothers, Qin Xing and Qin He, were sorting out the many jade boxes. When they arrived, Qin He's grumbling could be heard from time to time. "These people are really stupid. I have already told them to sort the herbs according to their categories. Great, now it's all messed up." Looking at the two brothers, Zichen chuckled and said, "Since the herbs are all messed up, why don't you call Senior Cauldron Spirit over? I believe that with him around, you will be able to work much faster." "That's right. Senior Cauldron Spirit has a keen eye. He can sense the herbs inside the jade boxes. With him around, we will be able to do twice the work with half the effort." Qin He's eyes lit up after hearing Zichen's reminder. "Let's hurry to the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion and call Senior Cauldron Spirit over. After sorting out the spiritual herbs, we have to seize the time to refine them. In half a year, our people will enter the ancient beast realm." The two brothers nodded. Afterwards, Qin He went to call Cauldron Spirit while Qin Xing stayed behind to sort the spiritual herbs. After leaving the herb storehouse, Wang Qiong said, "After this trade fair, the resources of our Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion have reached the peak. What we lack are late primal core experts." "That's right. Without many late primal core experts, we will not be able to truly become an overlord force. Pass down the order." Once any mid-primal core expert reaches the bottleneck of peak, give him the resources needed to break through the bottleneck. When the news of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's successful trade fair reached the ears of the Qin clan, the regret in Qin Ren's heart intensified. He had already sensed that the Qin clan was getting further and further away from Zichen's world. Zichen returned to the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. 2 days later, the profits of the trade fair were tabulated. Wu Lu brought the tabulated figures to the Grand Hall for Zichen to look over. Chapter 715. Looking at the densely packed list in his hand, Zichen was stunned for a moment. Even though he had already expected that he would gain a lot from this trade fair, when he actually saw the items recorded on the list, even though he was mentally prepared, he was still shocked. Apart from over 10,000 yuan liquid, he had also obtained a lot of ancient beasts. These were all ancient beasts produced in the world of ancient beasts. Although the quality of their blood essence was only comparable to the small demonic leopards in the ancient battlefield, the quantity was huge. Zichen's list of ancient beasts alone took up 2 full pages. There were all kinds of blood essences. Moreover, the number of species of ancient beasts was much greater than the ones in the ancient battlefield. After several decades, Zichen had consumed a lot of the ancient beasts he obtained from the ancient battlefield. Apart from the blood essences of ancient beast kings and ancient beasts, there was not much left of the blood essences of ordinary ancient beasts and their descendants. Before the trade fair, almost all of the blood essences had been consumed due to the large-scale production of medicinal pellets. Fortunately, the trade fair was a great success, and the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's collection of ancient beasts had increased tremendously. Apart from the ancient beast series that moved one's heart, the various other resources and spirit medicines on the list also added up to an extremely shocking number. If these numbers were added up, then their value would exceed the sum of the mid- and low-grade origin liquids. If it was said that in the auction 30 years ago, Zichen had earned a large amount of primordial stones, so much so that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion did not have to worry about primordial stones for a long time, then in this trade fair, the total value of the materials that Zichen had earned was more than 10 times that of the previous auction. Zichen was very satisfied with this income. Put these medicinal ingredients into the treasury. Pick out the ones in larger quantities and sell them in the elixir shop, said Zichen after looking through the list. The elixir shop was originally the house of Qin's Dan Treasure Pavilion. It was located in a bustling district of the market. Zichen had intentionally left it for the House of Qin. Now that the House of Qin had left, the Dan Treasure Pavilion was taken over by the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. It was renamed the Elixir Shop and sold medicinal pellets that were far superior to the House of Qin's. Although the Cauldron Spirit disdained to refine those cheap medicinal pellets, with his guidance and the supplementary medicinal ingredients that he had deliberately added in to stimulate the medicinal efficacy, the quality of the medicinal pellets refined by Qin Xing and Qin, he was absolutely superior to the ones made by the House of Qin. Although the two of them had been addressing Cauldron Spirit as senior, they had long regarded him as their master. In his spare time, Qin Xing refined an elixir pill to restore Sun Jian's crippled abdomen. Even though his strength had not returned to its peak state, the feeling of having essence force again made him extremely excited. Ling, or his strength, was still advancing by leaps and bounds. In a short span of 2 months, she had reached the 9th level of the true Qi realm. Such a cultivation speed could be said to be a spurt. However, she had always been under the attack of the extreme Yin energy. This energy had long since been implanted into her bone marrow. After cultivating the extreme Yin arts, it could be said that she had accumulated a lot of energy and was able to make a breakthrough. This state of eruption of realms would continue for a few more realms. After the trade fair, the entire Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was in a festive state. The pavilion master, Zichen, was getting engaged, and the deputy pavilion master was getting married. It was a double blessing. Apart from that, Zichen had also selected 20 intermediate primal core experts. These were the ones who would follow him into the world of ancient beasts. With Wild Wolf and Zhang Tong as the leaders, Ziqin had specially imparted them an extraordinary body tempering technique. Apart from that, he had also given each of them a drop of King Ancient Beast blood essence for them to refine and temper their bodies. Of course, Wild Wolf and Zhang Tong had to be specially taken care of. Ziqin had given Wild Wolf 10 drops of Devouring Sky Wolf's blood essence. When Wild Wolf held the blood essence in his hand, the excitement in his heart did not dissipate for a long time. As for Zhang Tong, a powerful existence who only knew 3 saber moves, Ziqin was not stingy. After giving him a few drops of King Ancient Beast blood essence, he had also specially given him a supreme-grade elixir weapon. Of course, this supreme-grade elixir weapon was also a saber. As for the supreme elixir pills, he had also given Zhang Tong 5 of them in advance. As for the soul recovery elixir and blood vitality elixir, there were more than 100 of them. Although Zhang Tong only knew 3 saber moves, his combat strength was definitely powerful. If he did, he would definitely be able to kill an advanced primal core expert. Even if his opponent was a monster from the wasteland, he would still die without a doubt. Therefore, even if Zhang Tong had to consume a supreme elixir every time he attacked, it was still worth it. After all, the amount of resources consumed to reach the advanced primal core realm would definitely exceed that of a supreme elixir. Exchanging a supreme elixir for the life of an advanced primal core expert was definitely worth it. Ever since the trade fair ended, the Cauldron Spirit had not been idle. He had been constantly refining medicinal pellets. He had refined 3 batches of blood origin pellets every 10 days. The total number of blood origin pellets refined had exceeded 500,000. Apart from that, he had also been refining other medicinal pellets, including supreme elixirs. Soon, 3 months had passed. Today, the Cauldron Spirit had Sun Jian call Qin Xing and Qin He over. At this moment, there are many jade boxes placed on the mountain peak. Each of the jade boxes contained spiritual medicines. Normally, the Cauldron Spirit would just take the medicines himself. But today, he had called the 2 of them over. After arriving, the 2 of them had puzzled expressions on their faces. Senior, the 2 of them entered through the matrix and respectfully saluted the Cauldron Spirit. The Cauldron Spirit turned around, looked at the 2 of them and said, "Here are some materials. Go and get them for me. I want to refine another batch of rejuvenation pellets." Rejuvenation pellets were the blood origin pellets in the outside world. Although that was its original name, Ziqin and the others still called them blood origin pellets in order to make it easier for outsiders to hear. Currently, the number of blood origin pellets stored in the treasury had exceeded 500,000. It was enough for the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion to use for a long time. Even if they were to sell them outside, they would be able to sell them for several years. It seemed a little redundant to refine more blood origin pellets. The 2 of them received the list doubtfully. 5,000 drops of mid-grade origin liquid, 30,000 drops of low-grade origin liquid, 10,000 years old medicinal herbs, and even ancient medicinal herbs. The 2 of them were dumbfounded when they saw the materials on the list. How could this be refining blood origin pellets? It was clearly refining blood healing pellets, the smaller pellets. However, the 2 of them had learned quite a lot from the Cauldron Spirit over the past few months. After recovering from their shock, they carefully examined the medicinal herbs and discovered that they were indeed refining blood origin pellets. But how many blood origin pellets would be produced in one batch? Based on their perception, the number of blood origin pellets produced in this batch would not be less than 200,000. It might even exceed 300,000. "Hurry up and prepare the medicinal herbs," the Cauldron Spirit urged when the 2 of them remained motionless for a long time. The 2 of them sobered up and left with the list. Clearly, the preparation of the medicinal herbs this time was not as casual as usual. It took the 2 of them 2 full days to complete the preparations. During this period of time, the 2 of them also reported the matter to Ziqin. The two of them were very satisfied with Zi Chen's reply. You are fully in charge of this matter. There is no need to report to me. The two of them were moved by Zi Chen's unconditional trust. Naturally, they became even more diligent in refining the pellets. This batch of pellets, in particular, required a lot of precious materials. They must succeed in refining even more blood origin pellets. Otherwise, it would be a huge loss. The earth fire was still at the highest level that the two of them could control. The cauldron, which was supposed to produce pellets in 10 days, did not show any reaction after 10 days. The earth fire continued to rise. Blue flames danced and wreaked havoc in the cauldron. Another 10 days passed before a faint fragrance wafted from the mouth of the cauldron. Although the two of them were puzzled, they did not dare to ask because the expression on the cauldron spirit's face had become more and more solemn as time passed. This made the two of them unsure whether this batch of pellets was good or bad. Another 5 days passed. The fragrance in the cauldron grew stronger and stronger. It was at this moment that the cauldron spirit said, "Extinguish the earth fire." Upon finishing those words, the two of them made hand seals once again. Then the blue earth fire drilled into the ground like a fire snake. That was all the cauldron spirit said before he stopped talking. His eyes were fixed on the cauldron in front of him. Although the fragrance of the pellets had grown stronger, the atmosphere was still as solemn as before. The two brothers did not dare to ask and could only wait quietly at the side. They waited for 5 days. After 5 days, the fragrance had reached its peak. Then the cauldron trembled. A stream of energy gushed out from the cauldron. Blood origin pellets shot up into the sky and sprinkled down. It took an entire month for the pellets to be completed. Qin Shing soared into the sky and enveloped the blood origin pellets with his energy. He then took out one of the pellets and carefully examined it. Other than being slightly rounder than the previous blood origin pellets, there did not seem to be anything special about them. However, after careful examination, Qin Shing discovered that the aura of this blood origin pellet was not as good as the previous blood origin pellets. Qin Shing was very puzzled as to why the blood origin pellets that he had refined using precious materials were not as good as the previous blood origin pellets. But in the next moment, he was even more dumbfounded because no more pellets were gushing out from the cauldron. Looking at the pellets that were enveloped in energy, Qin Shing's vision darkened and he nearly fell on his face. There were not 300,000 pellets, 200,000 pellets, or even less than 100,000 pellets. From what he could see, there were only 1/10 of 100,000 pellets. 10,000 pellets. The pellets that he had refined using so many precious materials were only worth 10,000 pellets. Such efficiency was simply too shocking. Moreover, the quality of the pellets was not as good as the previous blood origin pellets. Qin Shing was stupefied. Qin, he was also stupefied. "Haha, it's a success!" Cauldron Spirit's excited laughter suddenly sounded. "You call this a success?" Both of them put on a long face. They thought that they were done for. Seeing their expressions, Cauldron Spirit groaned and said, "What ignorant juniors! Do you know what these pellets are? They are the highest quality pellets among pellets. In the past, they could only be refined using high-grade yuan liquid. But now, I have refined them using mid-grade yuan liquid. This is a miracle. Do you understand what a miracle is?" Seeing that the two of them were still puzzled, Cauldron Spirit said, "These pellets may look ordinary, but their essence has long been contained within. You should understand what is contained within. Let me tell you, the energy contained within these pellets is far beyond your imagination. Hey, don't try it. These pellets are very precious. They are worth far more than a drop of high-grade yuan liquid." Cauldron Spirit hastily stopped Qin Shing when he saw that Qin Shing was about to try the pellets. Chapter 716. When Zichen was in the late stage of the Flying Void Realm, he needed to swallow a few drops of mid-grade yuan liquid to recover his yuan power. Now that he was in the early stage of the core realm, his yuan power was extremely strong. Although it would not be consumed as quickly as before, once it was consumed, he would need a lot of blood vitality pills to recover instantly. Although Zichen had not tested the feeling of recovering after using up all his yuan power, he thought that he would need at least 10 blood vitality pills to recover, which was 10 times more than others of the same level. Of course, this was just an estimate. He might need more. After Qin Xing brought the high-quality blood vitality pills to Zichen and explained their effects, he pulled a long face and waited for Zichen to punish him. After being with Zichen for a long time, he naturally knew Zichen's character. It was impossible to punish him, but it was inevitable that he would scold him for such a wasteful act. This kind of blood vitality pill was expensive to make, but it was almost useless to him. In his eyes, one blood vitality pill could recover his energy. Therefore, this kind of high-quality blood vitality pill was really useless. Even if Zichen was special, he could still recover his energy by swallowing a dozen of them at once. Even if it was just one pill, he would still swallow a dozen pills. Since he was going to swallow them anyway, there was no need for him to swallow the high-quality blood origin pill. Qin Xing lowered his head and waited for Zichen to scold him. He did not notice Zichen's bright and interested eyes. "Show me the blood vitality pill," Zichen said. If the effect was as Qin Xing said, then this high-quality blood vitality pill was indeed good for Zichen. Qin Xing did not dare to raise his head. He directly sent a bottle of blood vitality pills to Zichen. He opened it and poured out a pill. He released a powerful spiritual sense to check it. Just by looking at its appearance, this pill was indeed very ordinary. However, under Zichen's powerful spiritual sense, he could sense that there was a surge of energy contained within. If this energy was consumed by an ordinary Dan Yuan cultivator, their body would probably explode in an instant. Zichen's face showed a satisfied expression. This pill was indeed made especially for him. He then asked, "How many of these pills were made?" "I refined 10,853 pills in one furnace. Here is the list of pills I refined." As he spoke, Qin Xing took out another list. Recorded on it were the various medicinal ingredients required for this pill refinement. There were ancient medicinal ingredients, 10,000-year-old spiritual herbs, several thousand bottles of mid-grade origin liquid, and over 10,000 bottles of low-grade origin liquid. Zichen waved his hand and said, "There's no need to look at the list. Give some of these pills to Elder Gui. He should be able to use them." Before Qin Xing could reply, Zichen continued, No need. Just give me all these blood origin pellets. I will trouble Senior Cauldron Spirit to refine another batch for Elder Gui when I have the time. Zichen didn't think it was a waste of resources and actually wanted to refine another cauldron. This made Qin Xing sigh in relief, but he was also at a loss. He couldn't understand what was so good about this pill that consumed so much energy. After Qin Xing left, he brought all the high-quality blood essence pills over to Zichen. Half a year had passed since they entered the ancient beast realm. Zichen should be preparing for the engagement and betrothal gifts. The engagement of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's Pavilion Master Zichen and Vice Pavilion Master Wang Qiong's wedding was definitely a big event in the Bedlam. Almost every faction was talking about it. They could naturally see that behind the wedding and engagement, there was an alliance between the two parties. This also meant that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was about to become the sixth Overlord faction. Under Zichen's purposeful arrangements, Wang Jintian, Wang Jinwei, the Wang family ancestor, and the rest of the Wang family all came to participate in Wang Qiong's wedding ceremony. On the day of the wedding, the Wang family was the real star. Apart from that, the Liu family's patriarch also came with his disciples to congratulate them. Of course, this time they also brought alchemy weapons. This time, all of them were high-quality alchemy weapons and defensive alchemy weapons. Except for some that were not part of the deal, the rest were all gifts from the Liu family. As for the other faction in the land of barbarism, the Dan Yangqin family, no one came. Firstly, Zichun did not inform them. Secondly, Zichun had warned the Qin family not to step into the heavenly barbarian pavilion's territory. Although there was still a long time before the wedding, the cultivators of the heavenly barbarian pavilion were all busy. Wang Qiong's wedding was at the heavenly barbarian pavilion, and Zichun's engagement was at the Shangguan family in Chaos City. Therefore, before that, Zichun had to prepare everything and head to Chaos City to hold the engagement ceremony. After Zichun's engagement, Wang Qiong's wedding gift would be held at the heavenly barbarian pavilion. The ancient beast realm was like a primitive forest. The ancient trees were lush and covered the sky. The roots of the trees were like horned dragons, half naked. There were many ancient beasts living here. There were many kinds of powerful ancient beasts. Core essence cultivators from the land of chaos were in danger of being annihilated at any time. Since they had been in this area for more than 10 years, it was not uncommon to see a group of core essence cultivators being annihilated. Have you heard? The heavenly barbarian pavilion's pavilion master, Zichun, suddenly returned after disappearing for 30 years. Not only did he make a breakthrough, but he's also getting engaged to the Shangguan family's princess, Shangguan Yuer. This news came a few months ago. Not only do we know that Zichun is getting engaged to Shangguan Yuer, but we also know that the heavenly barbarian pavilion's vice pavilion master, Wang Qiong, is getting married to Wu Yu from the Wu family. In the ancient beast realm, news about the heavenly barbarian pavilion spread among the cultivators of the land of chaos almost every day. Because of the previous alliance agreement, the core essence cultivators no longer fought among themselves. Also, because they had discovered that the people from the land of chaos were strong and arrogant, they had retreated to the outskirts after losing several times. Although there were ancient beasts in the outskirts, there were relatively few of them. Therefore, when they had nothing to do, they could only gossip and wait for reinforcements. As for why they did not go out, it was because there were people from the overlords guarding the exits. They had to collect tolls, which were ancient beasts. The overlords could exempt the tolls from the heavenly barbarian pavilion's people, but other forces could not. However, not all forces were idle. At this moment, there was a team of more than 10 core essence cultivators searching for ancient beasts in this area. The leader was a mid-stage core essence cultivator. He held a good quality elixir weapon produced by the Lu family. The rest were early-stage core essence cultivators. They held normal elixir weapons. In the ancient beast realm, there were many teams like this. However, there was no doubt that a mid-stage core essence cultivator was the weakest. Once upon a time, core essence cultivators were called old monsters. They were extremely strong and could shake the world. However, in the ancient beast realm, such core essence cultivators were the most ordinary. They could die at any time. The rise of the heavenly barbarian pavilion is unstoppable. Now that Zichun has made a breakthrough and returned, he has established his position by marrying an overlord. It's only a matter of time before he becomes an overlord. They had already walked more than 10 miles, but did not find any ancient beasts. Bored, one of the core essence cultivators spoke. He was still talking about the heavenly barbarian pavilion. That's not necessarily true. To become an overlord, other than having many powerful cultivators, one also needs a strong foundation. The heavenly barbarian pavilion has only been established for more than 30 years. What foundation does it have? If they want to become an overlord, they still have a long way to go, another core essence cultivator retorted. Old Zhao, you've been in the ancient beast realm for too long. That's why you don't know the news. A few months ago, the heavenly barbarian pavilion held a trade fair. I heard that they took out 100,000 blood vitality pills for us, the core essence cultivator said. What? 100,000 blood vitality pills? The core essence cultivator with the surname Zhao widened his eyes. Other than the blood vitality pills, they also have other pills of high quality. I heard that they sold more than 100 treasure pills. The core essence cultivator paused and said, "The reason why the heavenly barbarian pavilion has not become an overlord is not because they don't have a foundation. On the contrary, they have a lot of foundation. The only thing they lack is the number of powerful cultivators. Powerful cultivators? That's true. The heavenly barbarian pavilion has only been established for more than 30 years. It's not like the other clans that have been around for thousands of years. It's normal that they don't have powerful cultivators. As the two of them spoke, the others listened quietly. Occasionally they would chime in. Just like that, they walked forward. After another 10 miles, just when everyone felt that they would not gain anything today, a gust of cold wind suddenly blew. The group of core essence cultivators could not help but shiver. The leader of the group, a mid-stage core essence cultivator, even waved his hand to signal for everyone to stop. He looked ahead, cautiously. "Sir, what's going on?" There was a gust of cold wind here. It was so cold that it made people shudder. There was also a dangerous aura. Back off." The mid-stage core essence cultivator said coldly. Then he retreated step by step. The others did the same. They were all very cautious. The gust of cold wind came from ahead. There might be some kind of danger. However, the group of core essence cultivators had just retreated for more than 10 steps when the gust of cold wind turned into a gust of wind. Leaves and branches flew everywhere. Everyone's robes flapped loudly. Their vision was blocked. When the gust of wind dissipated, a huge creature appeared in front of them. The moment they saw the creature, everyone's eyes widened. Their eyes were filled with shock. Soul-destroying leopard. An extremely shocked cry rang out. The soul-destroying leopard was recognized as one of the strongest ancient beasts in the world of ancient beasts. Not only was it fast, but its attack power was also very strong. The soul-destroying leopard in front of them was more than 10 meters long. Its body was covered with black hair like steel needles. Its limbs were slender but strong. A pair of cold eyes stared at everyone. Its long leopard tail was swinging like a steel whip. Seeing everyone, the soul-destroying leopard bent its body and leaned back. Its front paws touched the ground as it prepared to attack. As for the other side, the expressions of the core essence cultivators were also filled with fear. In this area, countless core essence cultivators had been killed by the soul-destroying leopard. There were also many core essence cultivators in the group. If there was no late-stage core essence cultivator in the group, then no matter how many people there were in the group, they would only be slaughtered when they encountered the soul-destroying leopard. "You guys go quickly. I'll hold it here." At the critical moment, the leader of the group spoke. He was decisive. The moment he saw the soul-destroying leopard, he took out a pill and swallowed it. It was a pill that emitted a blood-red light and was filled with a violent aura. A blood explosion pill. The moment the blood explosion pill entered his stomach, a violent aura surged from his body. The violent aura spread out. The mid-stage core essence cultivator had an additional suffocating and dangerous feeling. At this moment, the soul-destroying leopard launched its attack. Its attack was relatively simple and straightforward. It just borrowed strength, rushed forward, and attacked with its claws. Chapter 717. One strike, just one strike, and the soul-destroying leopard had injured and sent a mid-stage primal core cultivator who had taken a blood explosion elixir flying. Such power was shocking. From attack to defeat, it all happened in an instant. The other primal core cultivators did not even have time to escape. The mid-stage primal core cultivator was injured and could not get up for a long time. The soul-destroying leopard's cold eyes swept across the other primal core cultivators. Being stared at by the soul-destroying leopard's cold eyes, everyone felt as if they had been petrified. Their legs did not listen to them, and they could not move. Fear appeared on their faces. The soul-destroying leopard's body leaned back again. It bent its body and got into an attacking posture. The mid-stage primal core cultivator tried to stand up, but it was useless. He was seriously injured. It was a miracle that he was not dead. His eyes were filled with despair and unwillingness. This team was about to be destroyed in his hands. The mid-stage primal core cultivator could not move, but the soul-destroying leopard could. In the next moment, it moved. Using its front paw, it rushed towards an early-stage primal core cultivator. It was as fast as a black lightning bolt. A cruel look flashed in the soul-destroying leopard's cold eyes. Its powerful front paw struck towards the early-stage primal core cultivator's head. Facing the attack of the soul-destroying leopard, the latter did not have time to take any defensive posture. The opponent's speed was too fast. The sharp claws fell. Just as the primal core cultivator's head was about to be smashed, a golden light suddenly flew from afar. The golden light arrived in an instant. It was extremely fast. Before the soul-destroying leopard's front paw landed, it was in between the primal core cultivator and the soul-destroying leopard, blocking the attack. Bang! The golden light and the sharp claws collided, causing a loud explosion. The entire forest trembled. The moment the golden light and the sharp claws collided, the soul-destroying leopard let out a shrill cry. Its body flew backwards. At the same time, the crisp sound of bones breaking could be heard in the air. With one strike, the soul-destroying leopard's front paw was broken. Its huge body rolled a few times on the ground before it got up. Only 3 of its claws were on the ground. Its eyes were filled with pain and vigilance. The powerful soul-destroying leopard was injured in one strike. Such a scene shocked everyone. Almost subconsciously, everyone's eyes moved away from the soul-destroying leopard and looked at the golden light beside them. Within the golden light was a human male. He wore a monk's robe and was slightly chubby. His entire body emitted a golden energy light. However, this was not the most attractive part of him. What attracted everyone's attention was his head, which was emitting an even brighter golden light than his body. The golden light was so dazzling that it was almost blinding. The person who came was a bald monk. After being saved by a human, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. However, before they could express their gratitude, the bald monk had already charged towards the soul-destroying leopard and launched an attack. His attack was relatively simple, and all the core essence cultivators saw it clearly. They simply dodged to the side and attacked. The bald monk's figure flashed and appeared in front of the soul-destroying leopard. Then he slapped his palm toward the soul-destroying leopard's huge head. Boundless golden light flashed like golden seawater, sprinkling down. In the face of such a simple attack, the soul-destroying leopard seemed to have become like the others before. It was unable to move and could only put up some defense. It could only watch in horror and despair as the palm landed on its head. Bang! The golden palm landed on the soul-destroying leopard's head. The huge force of the palm directly sent the soul-destroying leopard flying. The soul-destroying leopard's huge body crashed into several ancient trees and rolled a few times on the ground before it stopped moving. The other core essence cultivators looked at this scene in shock. Then they released their spiritual senses to sense the situation of the soul-destroying leopard. Then all of them opened their mouths wide and their faces were filled with unimaginable shock. Dead. The soul-destroying leopard, which was so powerful that it could slaughter their entire team, was actually dead. Moreover, it was killed by a palm strike. Such combat strength almost petrified everyone again. At this moment, they did not know what to say. Their eyes all fell on the bald monk and could not move away for a long time. After killing the soul-destroying leopard, the bald monk walked directly to the soul-destroying leopard. The golden light in his hand flashed again, and the soul-destroying leopard disappeared. Then the bald monk turned around and looked at the core essence cultivators. In the golden light, the core essence cultivators saw a pair of calm eyes, as if killing the soul-destroying leopard was an extremely ordinary thing. "Thank you for saving us, sir." Everyone reacted one after another and quickly thanked him. The bald monk waved his hand and said, "You don't have to thank me. You just need to answer one question of mine." "Please ask, sir. We will tell you everything we know, the mid-stage core essence cultivator said respectfully as he walked over with the help of others. I heard that the heavenly barbarian pavilion master, Zichin, has broken through and returned. Is this true? The bald monk asked. Yes, sir. Zichin has broken through and returned. Moreover, he will be engaged to Shangguan Yu, from the Shangguan family soon. Vice Pavilion Master Wang Qiong will also be connected to the Wu family by marriage. The mid-stage core essence cultivator said everything he knew. Without waiting for the bald monk to continue asking, he said many things about the heavenly barbarian pavilion recently. Haha, I knew you would not die. As expected, you did not disappoint me. Sigh, just when I was feeling lonely, you appeared, the bald monk exclaimed. There was an obvious excited smile on his face. I really want to see how strong you are after breaking through. Moreover, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion has 2 consecutive good things. I have to go back and take a look. The bald monk shook his head and laughed. Fate really makes fools of people. I did not expect that the first person to be engaged to Zichin would be Shangguan Yu. Then the bald monk looked at the core essence cultivators. You guys better not go forward. There are people from the wasteland there. Be careful not to lose your lives. Thank you for telling us, sir. We will go back now and wait for the strong people from our families to come to our aid, the mid-stage core essence cultivator said gratefully. The bald monk waved his hand and left in a flash. He was leaving the area. Sir, who was that bald monk just now? From what he said, could he be from the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion? But the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion should not have such a strong person. A core essence cultivator asked curiously. The mid-stage core essence cultivator turned his head and saw that many core essence cultivators were puzzled. He snorted and said, How long have you guys broken through to the core essence level? What do you know? Who said that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion does not have any strong people. It's just that all the strong people have left. When Zichin first established the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion, he was enemies with all the forces in the Bedlam land. However, he was able to destroy the attacks of all the forces time and time again. Even the overlords suffered great losses at the hands of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. The fact that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion does not have any strong people is just an illusion. That is because all the strong people have gone out to train. As long as they all return, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion will become the overlord force. The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion still has such strong people. Everyone's eyes widened. Did you see that person just now? If I'm not wrong, he should be the good and evil monk. His combat power is not weaker than Pavilion Leader Zichen's. Among the strong people who have gone out to train in the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion, it is said that there are no less than 4 of them. The mid-stage core essence cultivator looked at everyone and said, When Pavilion Leader Zichin was in the advanced stage of the Imperial Air Realm, he could already kill a mid-stage core essence cultivator. Now that he has broken through to the great fulfillment of the Imperial Air Realm and reached the early stage of the primal core essence, his combat power has increased greatly. It is not difficult for him to kill a late-stage primal core essence cultivator. With 6 strong people who can kill late-stage primal core essence cultivators and 1 strong person who has surpassed the primal core essence cultivator, no force can suppress the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. When everyone heard this, they nodded in shock. Unknowingly, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion had already become an overlord force. In this area, as news about Zichin spread, more people began to pay attention to the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. Zichin has broken through and returned. He wants to get engaged. In the depths of the dense forest, a tall demon ape immediately abandoned an ancient beast after hearing this news. It stood up and returned, heading straight for the teleportation portal. When the demon ape reached the teleportation portal, it was mistaken for an ancient beast by a group of humans who were guarding the portal. It's an ancient beast. How dare it barge in here? Hurry up and capture it. Hurry up and kill it. An ancient beast dares to come here. It is simply courting death. Amidst the shouts, a group of primal core essence cultivators charged towards the demon ape with elixir weapons in their hands. The demon ape stood motionless on the spot. Just as the group of primal core essence cultivators arrived in front of it, it took out its black rod and swept it violently. A pitch-black rod flashed past, drawing a perfect circle around the demon ape. Everyone's attacks were all enveloped by the circle. Then, loud sounds rang out. The group of primal core essence cultivators who came forward were all swept away. Painful screams rang out continuously. Who dares to behave atrociously here? Just as the demon ape sent the group of primal core essence cultivators flying, a cold voice rang out. An aura belonging to a late-stage primal core essence cultivator spread out and enveloped the demon ape. A strong person from an overlord force flew over from afar. "Open the portal and let me out," the demon ape said coldly as it held the black rod. "How dare you? An ancient beast like you beat up our people. And you still want to get out of here? You are courting death," the other party shouted. The demon ape was enraged when it heard that. "You are the ancient beast. Your whole family are ancient beasts." Then the enraged demon ape swung the black rod in its hand and swung it towards the late-stage primal core essence cultivator. A pitch-black light flashed, and a powerful aura surged out from the black rod. Bang! The rod landed, and an explosion sounded in the sky. The mid-stage primal core essence cultivator was pushed back a few steps, and the chi and blood in his body were in turmoil. His expression changed slightly, and he was ready to use all his strength to attack the other party. But then the demon ape took a step forward. The ground shook and the second rod landed. This time it was even more imposing and powerful. With the force of Mount Tai, it smashed towards the late-stage primal core essence cultivator. Bang! This time, in the tremor, the other party was pushed back dozens of meters. His face was flushed red. When the demon ape landed the third rod, the late-stage primal core essence cultivator could not take it anymore. He spat out fresh blood, and his expression changed drastically. His face was full of shock, but the demon ape did not stop. The fourth rod landed, and the force was even stronger. This time, the other party was sent flying, and his ribs were broken. "You." The late-stage primal core essence cultivator's face was pale. He was shocked, and his eyes were filled with fear. In the distance, the other cultivators were also in a state of extreme shock. An ancient beast in the early-stage primal core essence stage defeated a late-stage primal core essence cultivator from an overlord force with just 4 rods. At this moment, there were many primal core cultivators who heard the commotion. But when they saw that even a late-stage primal core essence cultivator could not defeat the other party, they did not dare to step forward. Demon ape. Just as the demon ape was intimidating everyone, a voice came from behind. The demon ape turned around, puzzled. "Haha, so it is you. I didn't dare to recognize you before." A hearty laugh was heard, and a young man in blue walked over from afar. Chapter 718. LV Pung. The demonic ape recognized the young man and was surprised. "Aren't you at the Heavenly Man Pavilion? Why are you here? It's very dangerous here." LV Pung pretended to be angry. "Are you looking down on me? Let me tell you, I'm not the same as before." As he spoke, rays of light flashed in LV Peng's hand. Array flags appeared in the air one after another. The instant these array flags appeared, they rose into the air and scattered in all directions, covering the horizon to form an array. Subsequently, a vast and mighty aura began to surge. This vast power was like the power of the heavens, enveloping all the cultivators in the surroundings. It felt like they were facing a heavenly thunder tribulation. In an instant, the already shocked crowd's expressions changed. The demonic ape from before was already terrifying. It injured a late-stage primal core cultivator with just a few strikes. The one that came after seemed even more ridiculous. Once the formation was out, it was a sign that it was going to destroy everyone. All right, let our friends from the Heavenly Man Pavilion leave. A voice sounded from afar. 4 late-stage primal core cultivators walked over from afar, including the one from before. There were 5 overlords. Yes, let us leave quickly. We still have to attend Zi Chen's engagement ceremony. LV Peng smiled and kept the flags. The vast power dissipated, and the group of primal core cultivators heaved a sigh of relief. The exit slowly opened, and a few late-stage primal core cultivators gestured for the 2 of them to leave. Don't we have to pay the ancient beast blood essence? LV Peng asked curiously. A late-stage primal core cultivator laughed and said, Little brother, you must be joking. This passage is free for everyone in the Heavenly Man Pavilion. Thank you. Demonic Ape, let's go. As they spoke, the 2 of them stepped into the exit and left. The other primal core cultivators also left, but the shock on their faces did not disappear for a long time. The late-stage primal core cultivator from the Shangguan clan looked at the injured primal core cultivator from the Wei clan and said, I told you not to test them, but you didn't listen. Do you feel better now? The Wei clan's primal core cultivator clutched his chest. His ribs had been broken by the demonic ape. I didn't expect him to be so powerful when he's only at the early stage primal core realm. Is he a monster? The powerhouse from the Shangguan family curled his lips and asked, Are there any normal people among the leaders of the Heavenly Man Pavilion? In the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion, Zi Qin had prepared the betrothal gifts. Then he led the top powers from the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion and stepped into the teleportation formation that would lead them to the depths of the chaotic lands. The journey, which would have originally taken a month, had become unusually short due to the teleportation formation. In just a few breaths' time, Zi Chen's group arrived at Chaos City. Outside the teleportation portal, the experts of the Shangguan clan had been waiting there for a long time, quietly waiting for Zi Chen to appear. Within the teleportation formation, Zi Chen was the first to appear, followed by Wang Qiong, the vice pavilion lord. Behind the 2 of them was an old man who looked like a housekeeper. Then there are 10 mid-stage primal core realm cultivators, and the leaders of the group were Wild Wolf and Zhang Tong. Welcome to Chaos City, Lord Zi Chen and Lord Wang Qiong. This way, please, the Shangguan family's receptionist said politely. Zi Chen nodded and walked out of the teleportation formation. He walked side by side with Wang Qiong, and there were many curious passers-by around them. This is Zi Chen from the Heavenly Man Pavilion. He founded the Heavenly Man Pavilion when he was in the Flight Realm. He is indeed young and promising. Pavilion Lord Zi Chen is very powerful, but unfortunately the Heavenly Man Pavilion's powerhouses are not strong enough. This time, only 10 primal core realm cultivators came, and they are all mid-stage primal core realm cultivators. There's not even one late-stage primal core realm cultivator. There were some discussions that were deliberately suppressed in the crowd. The Heavenly Man Pavilion was not what it used to be, and Zi Chen was not someone that everyone could talk about without any scruples. Along the way, the Shangguan family's cultivators introduced the surroundings to Zi Chen and Wang Qiong, who were here for the first time. The person who came was clearly a receptionist. Along the way, other than asking about their well-being, he did not say anything about Zi Chen's purpose for coming. Soon, the group arrived at the entrance of the Shangguan family's house. Some important members of the Shangguan family had already arrived and were waiting at the door. Shangguan Feixiong and Shangguan Feilin were in the lead, although Shangguan Feilin had been removed from his position as the family leader. He was still a direct descendant of the family and held real power. Zi Chen greets the seniors. Under the guidance of the receptionist, Zi Chen stepped forward and bowed to the seniors. He had a warm smile on his face as he glanced at everyone one by one, then landed on Shangguan Feilin. Seeing Zi Chen's smile and expression, Shangguan Feilin felt uncomfortable. When he saw this expression, he would think of how Ziqin had called him Brother Feilin in front of so many powerhouses. Wang Qiong and the others also cupped their fists and bowed to the Shangguan family's powerhouses as a form of greeting. Beside the two of them, the elder, who seemed to be the housekeeper, only nodded slightly. Haha, Ziqin, you're finally here. We've been waiting for you for so long that our legs are sore from standing. Shangguan Feixiong laughed loudly. Then he took 2 steps forward and pulled Ziqin into the Shangguan family's gate. The other seniors were also full of smiles at this moment. Even those who had tried to make things difficult for Ziqin smiled kindly, including Shangguan Feilin. As for the reason, it was not because of Ziqin's status, but because of the housekeeper beside Ziqin. He was Elder Gui from the Heavenly Man Pavilion, someone who had surpassed the core essence level. He slightly released his aura, which was enough to make everyone treat him with respect. Shangguan Feixiong pulled Ziqin into the Shangguan family's residence and introduced the environment to him excitedly. From his expression, it was as if he treated Ziqin as one of his own. Hypocrite! Shangguan Feilin, who was following behind, saw this scene and felt indignant. However, before he could express his dissatisfaction, he felt a trembling qi from the bottom of his heart. In front of everyone, there were 2 elders walking towards them quickly. Shangguan Feilin happened to know one of them. It was his own ancestor. Greetings, 2 ancestors. Before he could guess the identity of the other one, some of the seniors bowed respectfully. Shangguan Feilin was shocked. So these 2 were his own ancestors. Haha, Ziqin. One of the ancestors laughed loudly and went straight to Ziqin. Then he pulled Ziqin in a very friendly manner and introduced him to the other old man. He said, "Brother, this is the Ziqin that I've always told you about. He's indeed a talent." The other ancestor looked at Ziqin and nodded with satisfaction. Ziqin was a bit embarrassed. He was here to get engaged with you. And there were many generations between them. He hurriedly bowed and said respectfully, "Ziqin greets the 2 ancestors. Don't mention it, don't mention it. We cultivators don't need to care too much about etiquette." The 2 ancestors were very easy to talk to. Ancestors, let me introduce you. This is the Grand Elder of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion, Elder Gui. The 2 were very polite as soon as they appeared. Ziqin was not a fool. He knew that they were doing this for Elder Gui. Greetings. One of the ancestors bowed to the old turtle, but didn't seem to know how to address him. It seemed that it was inappropriate to call him Lord on such an occasion. Let's call each other brothers. I'm older than you, so just call me Brother Gui. The old turtle smiled and waved his hand. Then we'll greet Brother Gui. This is my big brother, Shangguan Hongda. Shangguan Honggu introduced, and then Shangguan Hongda bowed. Just like that, the 2 sides met and got to know each other. Then there was nothing for Shangguan Feixiong to do. He could only follow behind them. In front of them were 3 cultivators beyond the core realm and Ziqin. There were 4 people in total. The Shangguan family is indeed full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. Elder Gui suddenly sighed as they approached the main hall. Shangguan family is indeed full of hidden dragons and crouching tigers. The smiles on their faces didn't fade, but they knew that the other party had already sensed them. After entering the main hall, Shangguan Hongda and Elder Gui sat on the left and right sides of the main hall. On one side of Elder Gui were Ziqin, Wang Qiong, Yilang, Zhang Tong, and the other 8 mid-stage core realm cultivators were standing. On the other side were Shangguan Hongguo, Shangguan Feixiong, Feilin, and a few seniors. After they sat down, someone served them tea and snacks. The Shangguan clan treated their guests with the best tea and snacks. The 3 cultivators beyond the core realm were chatting happily. Sometimes they would laugh out loud. Below them, the others were smiling as well. When the 3 were almost done chatting, Ziqin stood up and told them the purpose of his visit. This was obviously a serious matter. The 3 most powerful cultivators couldn't make the decision, so they passed the decision to Shangguan Feixiong. Shangguan Feixiong was the only one who could make the decision. Shangguan Feixiong nodded and stood up. He said to the three most powerful cultivators, "We have already prepared for this engagement. We have even picked a date. It can be held in 9 days. Brother Gui, what do you think?" Shangguan Hongda looked at Elder Gui. "This is the young man's business. We should let the young man decide for himself, as long as Ziqin thinks it is good." The old turtle chuckled. "I have no objections. 9 days it is. Before I came, I prepared a small gift. I hope you can accept it," Ziqin said, and signaled Zhang Tong to take out the gift. "Ha ha, Pavilion Master Ziqin, with your status, how could you take out a small gift? Even if it is a small gift, it will definitely be an eye-opener." A hearty laugh came from outside the hall. Then the sound of footsteps could be heard. It was an old man walking in from outside the hall. There were a total of 8 people. Ziqin had seen 4 of them before. They were all cultivators beyond the core realm. As for the other 4, their spiritual energy should also be beyond the core realm. In this way, there were 11 cultivators beyond the core realm in the hall. On Ziqin's side, there was only 1. Was this a show of force? Ziqin's expression didn't change, but he was guessing in his heart. He looked at the old turtle. The latter's expression didn't change. There was still a faint smile on his face. "Brother Gui, Brother Hongda, please don't mind us disturbing you. We just heard that Pavilion Master Ziqin had broken through and wanted to come and have a look." The few of them clasped their hands together after entering the hall. "It's okay. The more the merrier." The old turtle smiled. "Since Brother Gui doesn't mind, the Shangguan clan certainly doesn't mind. Since everyone is here, I won't invite you to the engagement ceremony." Shangguan Hongda laughed. Then the group of cultivators beyond the core realm sat down. Chapter 719. Is he doing this on purpose? Everyone looked at Ziqin. 10 of them had surpassed the elixir realm, which made Ziqin feel that everyone was doing this on purpose. Even if the big forces were in an alliance, they would always want to see each other suffer losses. This was the power of the big forces. There would always be competition, and internal strife would never stop. At this moment, in front of so many people, if Ziqin took out a bad betrothal gift, not only would he embarrass the Heavenly Man Pavilion, but he would also embarrass the Shangguan family and Elder Gui. But now that things had come to this, it was too late to prepare. "Zhang Tong, take out the betrothal gift." Ziqin turned his head and looked at Zhang Tong. Zhang Tong nodded and stood up. "Haha, we also want to see what kind of betrothal gift Ziqin will take out." Everyone laughed, and the atmosphere in the hall was very lively. Ziqin smiled and said, "The Heavenly Man Pavilion has just been established, and we don't have a good foundation. Of course, the gift we take out is not good. Please don't laugh at it." This was to give everyone a heads up. Everyone laughed and said that they wouldn't. The other members of the Shangguan family even said that Ziqin and Shangguan Yu loved each other, and it didn't matter even if he didn't take out the betrothal gift. After that, Zhang Tong took out the betrothal gift. The first thing he took out were 50 exquisitely made red jade bottles. Red represented jubilation, and the surface of the jade bottles was carved with dragons and phoenixes, showing that the dragons and phoenixes were a pair. Obviously, these things were specially made for this engagement. These are blood vitality pills. There are 10 pills in each bottle, so there are 50 bottles in total, Ziqin explained. After the jade bottles were taken out, beautiful maids came forward with red jade trays. Each tray could hold 10 jade bottles, and 5 maids stood at the side with the trays. Everyone nodded, but they were estimating the value of these blood vitality pills. If one pill was sold for 30,000 vitality stones, then 500 pills would be worth 15 million upper-grade vitality stones. A light flashed in Zhang Tong's hand again, and the same jade bottles appeared. They were all exquisite, but this time there were only 20 red jade bottles. 2 maids came in and stood at both sides, and the 20 jade bottles were placed on 2 jade trays. These are blood healing pills. Each bottle contains 5 pills, so there are 20 bottles in total. 20 bottles of blood healing pills, and there were 100 pills in each bottle. If each pill was worth 100,000, that would be 10 million. Then, Zhang Tong took out another 20 jade bottles. These are high-quality blood explosion pills. 1 pill per bottle, 20 pills in total. The highest price of a blood explosion pill in the auction back then was 3 million per pill. Even though there was the ancient beast world now, and ancient beasts were no longer rare, the price of a blood explosion pill was still over 2 million. There were 20 of them in total, which meant that they were worth more than 40 million. The expressions of the Shangguan family members, who had been calm before, began to change after the pills were taken out. As for Shangguan Feixiong, he didn't even try to hide the joy on his face. For the 4th time, Zhang Tong took out another jade bottle. This time, there were only 5 bottles. These are treasured pills. 1 pill per bottle, 5 pills in total. The total price of these 5 pills was tens of millions. Since the world of ancient beasts was about to open, the price of these pills would be even higher. The total price of the 4 types of pills was over 100 million. This was a huge number. Everyone couldn't help but sigh at how rich and resourceful Zichen was. Just these things as the betrothal gifts were already enough to give the heavenly barbarian pavilion face. However, the betrothal gifts were not over yet. In the next moment, another item appeared in front of Zhang Tong. This item emitted a bright and dazzling light. This was only an elixir weapon, but it was surging with an aura that wasn't any weaker than a foundation. The moment it appeared, everyone was shocked. With their eyesight, they could naturally tell that this was a supreme-grade elixir weapon. Supreme-grade elixir weapons were second only to foundations. They were extremely attractive to those in the origin core realm. This was a sword that emitted a colorful light. It was thin and long, and it was more suitable for ladies. The bright light and the oppressive aura it emitted told everyone that it was a supreme-grade elixir weapon. It's actually a supreme-grade elixir weapon. The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion is really generous. Everyone sighed. The Shangguan family members were overjoyed. Just as the female servant took the jade plate and took the supreme-grade elixir weapon away, a bright light appeared in front of Zhang Tong again. This light wasn't any weaker than the supreme-grade elixir weapon from before. In fact, it was even brighter. Supreme-grade defensive stomach armor. The moment this item appeared, everyone exclaimed in surprise. At this moment, a brightly colored stomach armor was floating in front of Zhang Tong. It was also a supreme-grade defensive stomach armor. This item was originally sold for supreme-grade primordial stones. However, everyone knew that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion didn't want to sell this kind of stomach armor. However, they didn't expect that this time Zichen would actually use this grade of stomach armor as a betrothal gift. A supreme-grade elixir weapon and a supreme-grade defensive stomach armor. These 2 items were far more valuable than the other elixirs. The Shangguan family members were overjoyed. As for the other families that had surpassed the elixir origin stage, they were also shocked. Since you're here, why did you bring betrothal gifts? Looking at the brightly colored betrothal gifts that lit up the entire hall, Shangguan Hongda was also overjoyed. Of course, the reason for his happiness was that Zichen had helped him gain face. Pavilion Master Zichen is really generous. Everyone sighed. These words came from the bottom of their hearts. The betrothal gifts given by Zichen naturally made the Shangguan family members very satisfied. Unknowingly, they who were already enthusiastic became even more enthusiastic in their words. After receiving the betrothal gifts, everyone continued to chat in the hall. The group of experts that had surpassed the elixir origin stage naturally didn't come just to see Zichen's betrothal gifts for the Shangguan family. Instead, they really wanted to see Zichen. Of course, it would be more appropriate to say that they wanted to see the 2 types of ultimate energy. After that, intentionally or unintentionally, A few of them expressed that they wanted to see the compatibility of the two types of ultimate energy. Zichen wasn't stingy and planned to let everyone see it. However, in order to dispel the strange thoughts in their hearts, he stood up and said, "To be honest, when I tried to make a breakthrough, I was prepared to die. With two types of ultimate energy, it was almost impossible to form a gold core. However, it was proven that it was indeed a dead end. If it weren't for the various fortuitous encounters along the way, I'm afraid I wouldn't have been able to escape death. However, even so, I still lost a family member and a treasure that changed my fate." After saying that, 2 balls of ultimate energy appeared in Zichen's hands. Then, the group of experts that had surpassed the elixir origin stage released their spiritual senses to sense it. During this time, Zichen also exchanged the 2 types of ultimate energy so that everyone could carefully sense it. At the same time, Zichen also talked about how he fought against the rules during his breakthrough. After a while, the group of experts' faces were filled with shock. Then they said, "Unbelievable." Perhaps it was an illusion, but Zichen felt that the attitude of the group of experts towards him seemed to have improved after this. Moreover, intentionally or unintentionally, they all expressed the idea of forming an alliance through marriage. Thinking about it, it was understandable. With 2 types of ultimate energy coexisting, Zichen's future was smooth sailing. Even though his realm could only stop at the late stage of the elixir origin stage, his actual combat strength was not weaker than theirs. Moreover, who could say that Zichen had no hope of stepping into the mortal origin stage in his lifetime? In the face of such an existence, they only had 2 ways to deal with it. The first was to kill Zichen in advance and strangle him in the cradle before he matured. However, this was almost unrealistic. With the old turtle protecting him, no one could kill Zichen. Even if they worked together to kill Zichen, they wouldn't be able to bear the old turtle's anger afterwards. This was because, as an ancient beast, the old turtle's combat strength was too strong. It wouldn't be a problem for it to massacre the entire Chaos City in a fit of anger. Therefore, since the first method didn't work, they could only use the second method, which was to form an alliance. In the following conversation, everyone intentionally or unintentionally showed a friendly attitude. Soon it was time for dinner, and Shangguan Hongde invited them. "Everyone, since you're here, why don't you stay for dinner?" The few mortal origin stage experts didn't stay. After that, they stood up and bid farewell. Zichen and the others also sent them off to the gate. Of course, during this period, the Vice Pavilion Master Wang Qiong was also the focus of everyone's attention, especially the Wu clan patriarch, Zichen and Shangguan Yu. Er's engagement ceremony was set to be held 9 days later, and the news quickly spread. The Shangguan family also sent out invitations, and unknowingly, the news of Zichen giving out so many betrothal gifts also spread out. The entire Shangguan clan was decorated with lanterns and decorations. Red lanterns were hung high. Except for a few people, everyone had a festive expression on their faces. During this period, Zichen and Shangguan Yu couldn't meet. They could only suppress their longing for each other and wait until the engagement ceremony to see each other. During this period, no one from the Wu clan came. Obviously, they wanted Wang Qiong to take the initiative. After Zichen's engagement ceremony, it was time for Wu Yu and Wang Qiong's wedding ceremony. After staying in the Shangguan clan for 2 days, Zichen and Wang Qiong led a group of people to the Wu clan on the morning of the 3rd day. This time it was an official visit. The Wu clan's hospitality was very warm. In order to give Wang Qiong more face, Elder Gu followed them. This forced the 2 Wu clan patriarchs to come out and greet them. Wang Qiong's arrival and the appearance of the 2 patriarchs indirectly raised Wang Qiong's status. After entering the hall and exchanging pleasantries, it was time to send the betrothal gifts and set the date of the wedding. The date was set by the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion, but the betrothal gifts had to satisfy the Wu clan. The betrothal gifts that Wang Qiong gave Wu Yu were prepared by Zichen and given by the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. Zichen didn't favor one over the other and gave the same betrothal gifts as he did for his engagement ceremony. This time, Wild Wolf took out the Blood Origin Elixir, the Treasure Elixir, and 2 Supreme Grade Elixir weapons for attack and defense. This time, it was the Wu clan's turn to be proud. Zichen also showed the Wu clan that Wang Qiong's status and identity in the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was the same as his. Once the betrothal gifts, worth hundreds of millions, were given, the Wu clan naturally agreed to the marriage. Hence, Wang Qiong's wedding was decided by the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. It was held in the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion 2 months later. 9 days passed quickly, and it was time for Zichen and Shangguanyu, Er's engagement ceremony. Chapter 720. At the engagement ceremony, Zichen wore a festive red robe. He was already handsome, but now he stood out from the crowd. Many female cultivators from various forces who had followed their elders here to congratulate them frequently cast strange gazes at Zichen. Shangguanyu was also dressed in a bright red chiffon dress. Beneath the chiffon dress, her exquisite figure was faintly discernible. Her peerless beauty was not hidden at all, and standing next to Zichen, they truly looked like a perfect match, a match made in heaven. The forces who came to congratulate them all maintained their humility in front of Zichen. The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was no longer what it used to be. Today, they had formed an alliance with the Shangguan family. 2 months later, they would form an alliance with the Su family. The other 3 forces also showed signs of wanting to get closer to them. From the looks of it, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was already in a state of ascension. The only flaw was that there were too few powerful cultivators in the pavilion. This was also the biggest drawback of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. Other than Zichen and the deputy pavilion leader Wang Qiong, who had extraordinary combat power, the other people's combat power was almost unbearable. Especially this time, Zichen had only brought 10 mid-stage primal core cultivators with him. There was not even 1 late-stage primal core cultivator. Compared to the other forces who had late-stage primal core cultivators, the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's aura was slightly weaker. However, today was a joyous day. No one would be foolish enough to point out Zichen's weaknesses and shortcomings. Furthermore, Zichen was at the peak of his power. No one dared to provoke him at this moment. The powerful cultivators from the various forces came to congratulate him. Zichen did not have much alcohol left. However, on such a joyous day, it was inevitable that he would drink a few more cups. Even Shangguanyu, who was beside him, was blushing. However, at the engagement ceremony, not everyone gave Zichen face. There were always people who did not like Zichen and wanted to find an opportunity to ridicule Zichen. Halfway through the banquet, when the atmosphere was at its most lively, a voice suddenly came from the neighboring table. Today is the big day of the engagement between Pavilion Master Zichen and our Shangguan family's princess. As cultivators, it's boring for us to keep watching people dance. Why don't we do something exciting? Almost all of the people who came to congratulate him were drunk. Once this suggestion was made, everyone agreed with it under the influence of alcohol. When the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion opened that day, Pavilion Master Zichen organized a very exciting competition. Why don't we have a competition today? Soon, someone echoed loudly. After that, everyone's gazes descended onto Zichen, because Zichen was the main character today, and even the words of all the ancestors weren't as effective as Zichen's. Pavilion Lord Zichen, you are the main character today. Right now, you are also the most powerful person here. If you say that you don't want to compete, we won't force you, a late-stage primal core cultivator from the Shangguan clan said as he stood up. Zichen had drunk 2 extra cups earlier and had a smile on his face. After hearing what the primal core cultivator from the Shangguan clan said and seeing Shangguan Feilin sitting next to him, he understood what was going on. Obviously, Shangguan Feilin had come up with a way to make him suffer after seeing that there were no late-stage primal core cultivators on his side. Shangguan Feilin had also spoken at the most lively moment. After attracting everyone's attention and interest, he had even asked him to choose. If he chose not to compete, it would be equivalent to admitting defeat. If he lost without a fight, he would embarrass the heavenly barbarian pavilion. If he chose to compete, he would still lose and embarrass himself. In Shangguan Feiling's opinion, since he didn't have the ability to deal with Ziqin, it was also a good thing to embarrass him. Everyone's gazes fell on Ziqin. After looking around, Ziqin smiled and said, "Competition? Sure, but I don't know who wants to fight with me. I haven't fought for 2 days, so I'm a little rusty." As soon as he said this, the corners of everyone's mouths twitched. When Ziqin was at the late stage of the Zephyr Realm, he could already kill cultivators at the mid-stage of the Primal Core Realm. Now that he was at the early stage of the Primal Core Realm, he was recognized as invincible among the Primal Core Realm cultivators. Under such circumstances, whoever dared to fight with Ziqin would be looking for trouble. The answer was no. Just as everyone was about to refuse, the Shangguan clan cultivator who had spoken earlier said, "Pavilion Master Ziqin, you must be joking. You're the main character today. How can we let you fight? Moreover, this competition is just for entertainment. There's no prize. We're just sending a few people to compete casually. It's mainly for entertainment, so don't take it seriously." "That's right. Pavilion Master Ziqin, it's not appropriate for you to fight today. Just send a few people to compete." Everyone reacted and spoke up enthusiastically. It seemed like this was something that would embarrass the heavenly barbarian pavilion. They were happy to watch and participate. The current situation didn't allow Ziqin to refuse, so he could only nod and agree. "All right then, how should we compete?" Ziqin asked with a smile, but he was thinking of a countermeasure. There are many forces here. If we compete with each of them, we won't be able to finish even if the sky turns dark. Moreover, Pavilion Master Ziqin didn't bring so many people this time. Why don't we each send one person to compete with Pavilion Master Ziqin's subordinates? Of course, our competition is just for entertainment. We don't have to use our full strength. This time, it was Shangguan Feiling who spoke. He had a kind smile on his face, but there was a smug smile in his eyes. Shangguan Feixiong and the others wanted to stop him, but it was too late. Moreover, they didn't seem to have any reason to stop him. "All right then." Ziqin pretended to be indifferent. Then he glanced at Wild Wolf and said, "Wild Wolf, you can go up." Wild Wolf nodded and left his seat. On the other side, the 5 forces had already agreed. The Shangguan clan would send someone for the first battle. Shangguan Feiling casually picked a late-stage primordial core cultivator. After the latter stood up, he cupped his fists at Ziqin. Ziqin frowned slightly. A mid-stage primordial core cultivator against a late-stage primordial core cultivator. "Pavilion Master Ziqin, I'm sorry. Those who came to the engagement ceremony are either juniors or late-stage primordial core cultivators. If Pavilion Master Ziqin thinks it's unfair, you can ask him to suppress his strength. Of course, I'll go to the entrance and ask a mid-stage primordial core cultivator to fight. Anyway, we're just here for entertainment," Shangguan Feiling said. His words were meant to ridicule the heavenly barbarian pavilion, which was really unpleasant. On the heavenly barbarian pavilion's side, anger appeared on many of their faces. Ziqin waved his hand and said, "It's okay. Wild Wolf, go ahead. Just do whatever you want." The location of the battle was not far from the banquet. Apparently, Shangguan Feiling had already prepared for it. Wild Wolf and the Shangguan clan's cultivators stood on the battle platform, facing each other. There were 11 cultivators in the Mortal Origin realm present. Naturally, there was no need for a judge. Therefore, the battle started after the signal was given. As Wild Wolf's strength was lower than his opponent's, he took out his elixir weapon at the beginning of the battle. Seeing the high-quality elixir weapon in Wild Wolf's hand, everyone was shocked. The Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's mid-stage primordial core cultivator was given a high-quality elixir weapon. This was really generous. But then there were exclamations. The Shangguan clan's late-stage primordial core cultivator also took out a high-quality elixir weapon. Therefore, everyone could see that this was intentional. It was inevitable that the heavenly barbarian pavilion would be defeated. Sure enough, in the following battle, Wild Wolf was slowly suppressed. Wild Wolf's original form was that of a wolf, but at this moment he was fighting in his human form. He was already at a disadvantage. Moreover, this battle was just a friendly competition. There was no need to kill, so it was reasonable for Wild Wolf to be suppressed. Both sides exchanged blows, and their elixir weapons kept colliding. Turbulent energy kept wreaking havoc on the battle platform. Although Wild Wolf was suppressed, he did not show any signs of being defeated immediately. After more than 300 moves, Wild Wolf, who was exhausted, was pushed back by a palm strike. He directly smashed into the light shield and announced his defeat. The light shield around the battle platform dissipated. The Shangguan clan's primordial core cultivator put away his elixir weapon and admitted defeat. Wild Wolf's eyes shone with a fierce light. He was not convinced, but since his opponent had already left the battle platform, he could only leave. Sir, if it was a battle to the death, I could kill him. Wild Wolf walked in front of Ziqin and said in an unrestrained voice. But to the others, Wild Wolf's words were completely out of anger. Moreover, they thought that Wild Wolf was able to exchange more than 300 moves with his opponent because he was taking the heavenly barbarian pavilion's reputation into consideration and showed mercy. It's just a battle. Our heavenly barbarian pavilion lost this battle. Ziqin waved his hand and signaled Wild Wolf to continue sitting. Everyone sneered in their hearts. This was indeed the first battle, but the heavenly barbarian pavilion would still lose the next 4 battles. When the time came, they would lose 5 consecutive battles. Let's see if Ziqin's expression could still be so calm. Ziqin's gaze fell on the other 9 primordial core cultivators and finally landed on Zhang Tong. He said, "Zhang Tong, you'll be the one to fight this battle." Hearing this, Zhang Tong's small eyes widened. "Sir, I don't know how to fight. What if I kill him?" As soon as he said this, he immediately caused a roar of laughter. Obviously, he was bragging. This guy's hair was short and his knowledge was short. As a primordial core cultivator, he dared to say that he could kill a primordial core cultivator. Who did he think he was? "Just stop when the time is right," Ziqin said. Zhang Tong's face immediately turned bitter. He said, "Sir, I don't know how to do that. I'll use my full strength when I attack. If the enemy doesn't die, I will." Ziqin nodded and then asked, "Which clan is your opponent for this battle?" "Pavilion Master Ziqin, it's our Wu clan. Coincidentally, we have a primordial core cultivator here. Both sides can learn from each other," the Wu clan cultivator said. Obviously, he wanted to protect the heavenly barbarian pavilion's face. Ziqin shook his head and said, "There's no need to fight this battle. We admit defeat." Then he pointed at Zhang Tong and said, "He really doesn't have the means to fight. Since there's no need to fight, it's at most a draw. It can't be considered a loss," the Wu clan cultivator said. "Then I wonder who Pavilion Master Ziqin plans to send for the 3rd battle." Shangguan Feilin asked again. He was very surprised by the Wu clan's actions. He had clearly contacted the people who had direct enmity with Ziqin, but the Wu clan was now speaking up for Ziqin. However, the other 3 clans would definitely not, because Ziqin had killed their direct descendants, just like how Shangguan Feilin's son had been killed by Ziqin. Ziqin frowned slightly. He really didn't have anyone to send for the 3rd battle. Although these primordial core cultivators were extraordinary, it was only relative to those of the same level. It seemed that they were still a little weak when fighting against those of a higher level. Could it be that Pavilion Master Ziqin has no one to send? Shangguan Feilin sneered. Chapter 7:21. The sudden appearance of a young man caused everyone to turn around in confusion. The young man had a faint smile on his face. After entering, he cupped his fists towards Zichen and said, I didn't know that Pavilion Master Zichen was celebrating today. LV Peng came back a bit late, which is really a sin. Why don't I atone for my sins by participating in the third battle? Seeing LV Peng arrive, Zichen smiled, but his heart ached. Seeing LV Peng reminded him of Elder Mo. Zichen nodded and said, All right then, you will fight in the third match. But remember, this is only a competition for entertainment. Do not hurt anyone. Yes, Pavilion Master. Lu Peng cupped his fists and took the lead to step onto the platform. Heavenly Barbarian Pavilions, LV Peng? I've never heard of such a person. That's right. He seems to be a nobody. But judging from Pavilion Master Zichen's expression, he seems to be very sure that he will win. How can an early Primal Core cultivator defeat a late Primal Core cultivator? Who does he think he is? Pavilion Master Zichen? Seeing LV Peng on the stage, discussions broke out all around. Zichen, can LV Peng win? At the side, Shang Guanyu, or couldn't help but send a voice transmission to LV Peng. She was worried for LV Peng. After all, LV Peng's attainments in spirit arrays were not bad, but he was not good at fighting. We'll definitely win. Zichen appeared extremely confident. Having obtained all of Elder Hiroshi's legacy in array formations, coupled with decades of mastery, and even being able to build his own teleportation array formation, the current LV Peng was no longer the same as before. He had become a freakish array master. For the third battle, the Zhou clan's expert was sent out. The other party did not care about the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's reputation, nor did they lower their guard because LV Peng was in the early stage of the Primal Core realm. The Zhou clan sent out a late-stage Primal Core realm expert with a high-quality elixir weapon. They had come prepared. Begin. This time it was Zichen who spoke. His voice was extremely calm. The battle began. The Zhou clan's Dan Yuan rushed towards LV Peng with his Dan weapon and smashed it towards him. With a loud bang, LV Peng was smashed into pieces, but it was only an illusion. The real LV Peng had already flashed to the other side of the platform. Just as Zhou Dan Yuan turned around, he saw many array flags floating above LV Peng's head. The thought that LV Peng was an array master flashed across his mind. So what if he was an array master? Although he was a little mysterious, there was still a difference of 2 realms between them. He was confident that he could defeat his opponent. However, before the Zhou clan's Dan Yuan could attack a second time, LV Peng's hand seals were completed. The array flags above his head danced, forming a magic array. A terrifying aura began to spread out. Due to the formation of the formation, the entire battle stage instantly became hazy. Everyone could only hear the sounds of energy vibrations through the energy barrier. As for what was happening inside, no one could see. Everyone at the banquet was guessing who would win this battle. In their hearts, the late-stage Primal Core cultivator of the Zhou clan had a higher chance of winning. The energy explosion lasted for half an hour before it suddenly stopped. The hazy light on the battle stage also slowly dissipated. Everyone's eyes were fixed on the battle stage. When the hazy light completely disappeared, everyone's faces were filled with shock. Originally, there were 2 people on the battle stage, but now there was only 1 person left. That person was still lying on the ground, motionless, as if he had fainted. After waiting for a while, the other person slowly got up. The one who got up was the Zhou clan's Dan Yuan, and the one who disappeared was the Heavenly Man Pavilion's LV Peng. At this moment, the Zhou clan's Dan Yuan's clothes were tattered, as if they were strips of cloth hanging on his body. Although there were no wounds on his body, his hair was disheveled and his face was dirty. He was in a very sorry state. The winner of this battle could be seen at a glance. The early-stage Primal Core LV Peng had defeated the late-stage Primal Core Zhou clan's Dan Yuan. He had defeated an opponent who was 2 realms above him. Such a battle record was shocking. However, everyone was most concerned about where LV Peng had gone and when he had disappeared. Just as everyone revealed a puzzled expression, LV Peng's voice rang out beside Zichen. Everyone, the Heavenly Man Pavilion, should be considered the winner of this battle. This was LV Peng's voice. Everyone looked in the direction of the voice and saw that LV Peng was already standing in front of Zichen. Not only was he unharmed, but he was also spotless. Looking at LV Peng, everyone's eyes widened as if they had seen a ghost. They did not understand how LV Peng had left the light shroud without warning. One had to know that they had been staring at the light shroud previously. However, no matter how hard they racked their brains, they could not figure it out. Furthermore, this was not the time to delve into it. Just as the Zhou clan's Dan Yuan retreated, Shangguan Feilin stood up again and said, "The Heavenly Man Pavilion is indeed full of crouching tigers and hidden dragons. In the 3 battles, the Heavenly Man Pavilion has 1 win, 1 draw, and 1 loss. However, I wonder who will be sent for the 4th battle." Then he glanced around and said, "It's the Wei clan's turn for the 4th battle." This time, before Zichen could speak, a cold voice was heard from outside. "I'll take this battle." Outside the door again, everyone was very puzzled. They had released their spiritual senses earlier, but there was nothing there. A tall figure walked in from outside. It was the devil ape. Almost everyone present had seen the devil ape before, so no one would treat it as an ancient beast in such an occasion. As for the scene in the ancient beast world, it was purely intentional. "I'll take this battle." After the devil ape finished speaking, he did not even wait for Zichen's agreement and walked directly to the battle platform. It was obvious how eager he was to fight. Zichen smiled. The return of LV Peng and the devil ape was completely out of his expectations. However, he had to admit that the 2 of them had returned in time and saved the Heavenly Man Pavilion's face at this crucial moment. The devil ape walked up to the battle platform, and the surrounding people looked at each other. This was the devil ape, also known as the sky-splitting battle ape. He was extremely powerful. But didn't he leave the Heavenly Man Pavilion a long time ago to train? Why did he suddenly return? When Zichen established the Heavenly Man Pavilion and made a name for himself in the land of chaos, his friends who fought alongside him also had extraordinary reputations. Among these people, the devil ape was one of the top few. To the cultivators outside, the devil ape's combat power was extraordinary. He was not weaker than Zichen at all. Now that the devil ape was also in the early stage of the primal core realm, his combat power was comparable to Zichen's. No one in the primal core realm could suppress him. "Why is no one coming?" the devil ape asked coldly after waiting on the battle platform for a long time and seeing that no one had come up. "Let me." A cultivator in the late stage of the primal core realm from the Wei clan, who was extremely confident in his combat power, flashed into the battle platform. Knowing that the devil ape's combat power was not weak, he decided to make the first move. As soon as he arrived on the battle platform, he attacked the devil ape with his premium elixir weapon. Black light surged in the devil ape's hand, and a black rod appeared, blocking the attack. Pum! With a loud bang, waves of energy spread out and the battle platform shook. The devil ape, who had taken the attack, stood motionless on the spot, but the Wei clan's primal core realm cultivator was forced back a few steps. The Wei clan's primal core realm cultivator's expression changed. He was about to attack again with his elixir weapon, but at this moment the devil ape who had blocked his attack had already attacked. The devil ape's attack was relatively simple. He only held the black rod and smashed it with all his might. Pum! The first attack caused the Wei clan's primal core realm cultivator to retreat a few steps. The second attack caused the Wei clan's primal core realm cultivator's blood to churn. He resisted the urge to cough up blood. However, when the devil ape's third attack landed, the powerful rebound force caused the Wei clan's primal core realm cultivator to cough up blood. Then, the devil ape's fourth attack landed. Each attack of the devil ape was more ferocious than the previous one. When the fourth attack landed, The black rod seemed to have transformed into a black dragon, colliding with the premium elixir weapon in the Wei clan's primal core realm cultivator's hand. Although the Wei clan's primal core realm cultivator was not allowed to kill, that was only relative to the cultivator. Therefore, when the devil ape's fourth attack landed, the elixir weapon in the Wei clan's primal core realm cultivator's hand directly exploded with a bang. The Wei clan's primal core realm cultivator's body was directly smashed into the light barrier, causing it to tremble. After the fourth attack, the devil ape put away the rod and left the battle platform as the light barrier dispersed. The entire banquet was dead silent. 4 attacks had destroyed a premium elixir weapon and defeated a late-stage primal core realm cultivator. While the crowd was shocked by the devil ape's strength, they also felt pity for the Wei clan. A premium elixir weapon was destroyed just like that. Everyone was still in shock and did not say a word. The Wei clan cultivators who had come this time were even more heartbroken over the broken elixir weapon. Shangguan Feilin's expression was extremely ugly. His original intention was to make the Heavenly Man Pavilion suffer. However, these people had suddenly returned. It seemed that he did not see them suffer. Instead, it made people even more fearful of the Heavenly Man Pavilion. The Heavenly Man Pavilion has won the 4th battle. Currently, there are 2 wins, 1 loss, and 1 draw. As for the 5th battle I will participate, it seems that only the Qin family is left among the 5 forces. The Chen family will fight. Just as the banquet was in dead silence, a voice suddenly rang out to make a conclusion for the crowd. After the conclusion was made, the crowd only saw a blur before their eyes. A figure had already appeared in the battle platform. It was a bald monk in a monk's robe. His body was emitting a golden light. The moment the crowd saw the bald monk, they naturally recognized him. It was Evil Good Monk, another powerful warrior of the Heavenly Man Pavilion. The monk's combat power was already very strong. However, now that he was releasing the aura of a mid-stage primal core cultivator, everyone's expression changed. It seemed that even pavilion leader Ziqin could not suppress a monk of such a level. Who would dare to fight a monk in such a situation? The Qin family? It seemed that they did not dare to. There is still 1 battle left. Where is the Chen family? The monk stood on the battle platform and shouted loudly. The powerful warriors of the Heavenly Man Pavilion have all returned. The Chen family admits defeat, the leader of the Qin family said. Under such circumstances, admitting defeat was a wise move. No one mocked the Qin family. This was because it seemed that no one in the primal core realm dared to challenge Evil Good Monk other than those who had attained the great attainment of the primal core realm. Since the Chen family had admitted defeat, the Heavenly Man Pavilion had won the 5 battles. This was an extremely good ending. However, the monk seemed to be a little dissatisfied. He turned his head to look at Shangguan Feilin and said, "Shangguan Feilin, this suggestion seems to be made by you. If we don't fight the last battle, it will not be exciting. Why don't you come up and we can learn from each other?" Shangguan Feilin's expression was a little twisted when he was called by his name. However, he did not think that he was a match for the monk. "Why? Are you scared?" "Don't worry. We are just learning from each other. It's not a battle to the death. We're just putting on a show," the monk said. "Humph, I'm not interested." Shangguan Feilin snorted coldly. In the end, he did not agree. Chapter 722. On the battle platform, Shangguan Feilin refused to participate in the battle despite the monk's constant taunts. Even if many people tried to persuade him to do so, he would not go. Shangguan Feilin used to be the head of the Shangguan family and was in charge of the entire family. He was knowledgeable and cunning. Naturally, he was not a fool. He knew that he had lost all his dignity in front of everyone by rejecting the challenge. However, this was still better than going to the battle platform. What he did today had completely offended the Heavenly Man Pavilion. If he did not fight, people would only say that he was a coward. However, if he really went to the battle platform and faced the monk would definitely beat him up so badly that even his own mother would not be able to recognize him. Shangguan Feilin's situation would be 10 times worse than he was now. By then, he might not even have any dignity left. Therefore, Shangguan Feilin would rather die than go to the battle platform. Helpless, he could only leave the battle platform after taunting the monk. However, what happened today had established the Heavenly Man Pavilion's position as an overlord. Although there were no late-stage primordial core cultivators, the Heavenly Man Pavilion's combat power was enough to make the overlords tremble. 30 years had passed. The demons from back then had grown into powerful generals and stood at the peak of the primordial core realm. They could not be killed by anyone other than the primordial core realm. Except for Shangguan Fei's last-minute challenge, there was no other interlude in the entire engagement ceremony. The monk and the rest returned one after another. The Heavenly Man Pavilion had powerful cultivators, resources, and power. They became an overlord in one fell swoop. After the engagement ceremony, the group of powerful cultivators gathered together to discuss the matter of entering the ancient beast world. After Wang Qiong's wedding, the Heavenly Man Pavilion will enter the ancient beast world. Zi Chen's final answer was the same as before. The hope of the Heavenly Man Pavilion entering the ancient beast world as soon as possible was completely dashed. After Zi Chen and the rest left, the overlords quickly ordered their forces to avoid and retreat in the ancient beast world. They did not want to provoke the demon clan. 2 days after the engagement ceremony, Zi Chen led the group back to the Heavenly Man Pavilion. Shang Guanyu followed along the way. After all, the two of them were already engaged. Although the two of them were still not allowed to be together according to customs, the Shangguan family still turned a blind eye to it. Zi Chen, let's spar when we have time, the monk suggested on the way back to the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. Zi Chen smiled and teased, "What's wrong? Are you lonely again?" "Monk, if you feel lonely as an expert, I can accompany you," the devil ape said. "I just want to see how strong the Jinden essence can be after 2 types of extreme energy are formed," the monk said. "I'll show you when I have the chance." The group returned to the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. As Wang Qiong was getting married in less than 2 months, the entire Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was busy. "Everyone, hurry up and make more red lanterns. We need to hang these lanterns all over the Heavenly Brute Pavilion before the assistant pavilion leader's wedding. This includes the market and the various mines." Wu Lu was mobilizing people. He and Heifeng were equivalent to the stewards of the entire Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. As soon as Zi Chen returned, before he could assign the various tasks, a person jumped into Zi Chen's arms. It was Ling. Ling. How's your cultivation recently?" Zi Chen hugged Ling, and asked with a smile. "See for yourself." Ling, released the energy in her body as if she was presenting a treasure. After Zi Chen sensed it, his heart skipped a beat. Innate realm. Stepping into the innate realm in just a few months. This talent made Zi Chen sigh. Even though Lei Yuan had changed his physique and increased his cultivation speed, he still couldn't compare to Ling's cultivation speed back then. "Zi Chen, who is this?" Seeing that Zi Chen was extremely intimate with a little girl, "You?" asked from the side. "Come, Linger, let me introduce you." As he spoke, Zi Chen let go of Ling, and pulled Yuer's hand. "This is Yuer. You can call her Madam." Zi Chen, who had originally wanted to explain, was startled. It seemed that calling you a madam would make her sound old. "Then can I call her big sister Yuer?" Ling asked innocently. "So this is the Ling you were talking about, your first disciple." You had obviously heard Zi Chen mention Ling before. She lowered her head and touched Ling's little face. She smiled and said, "You really are a cute girl with extraordinary talent. But since you're Zi Chen's disciple, you should call me Madam, because I'm Zi Chen's fiancé." Ling blinked innocently and smiled. "But I think calling me Big Sister is very good. If I call you Madam, wouldn't that make me look very old? Besides, Big Sister Yu is so pretty. You don't look much older than Ling. Why should I call you madam? Hee hee, what a cute girl. Call me whatever you want. You are giggled. She was completely captivated. After chatting for a short while, the two of them left hand in hand. After that, Zichen and the others came to the main hall. Zichen, where's Elder Mo? LV Peng asked Elder Mo as soon as he sat down in the main hall. Zichen sighed. His face was clearly filled with loneliness and sorrow. Elder Mo is dead. Although he had already guessed the result from Zichen's expression, LV Peng's face paled when he heard Zichen's words. You actually took more than 30 years to break through this time. What exactly happened? Tyrant asked. They didn't ask this question in the Shangguan family. After all, it wasn't their place. There were too many people there. When I broke through this time, I first experienced the 9 Yin heavenly lightning, then the 9 Yang heavenly lightning. It took me several days to resist these 2 types of heavenly lightning. Who would have thought that I would encounter the laws of heaven and earth when I was forming my core? Zichen told everyone about the process of breaking through without hiding anything. The degree of danger caused everyone to tremble in fear. Just as the energies were about to collide, I fainted. I was unconscious for 20 years. When I woke up, I found that I had successfully formed my core, but the lightning yuan was gone. After hearing this, everyone sighed. You're really lucky. If it wasn't for the lightning yuan, you really would have died. Zichen nodded. Yes, the lightning yuan has saved my life many times. I didn't expect it to directly fuse with the yin and yang energies this time. In the main hall, only Zichen, Tyrant, Devil Ape, and LV Peng were present. Therefore, Zichen could tell them his secret without any scruples. That's not right. You disappeared for 30 years, but it only took you 20 years to break through. What did you do in the other 10 years? LV Peng realized that there was an error in the time. I used the other 10 years to comprehend the Wuji sect's inheritance. What kind of inheritance does the Wuji sect need 10 years to comprehend? Everyone was puzzled. All the inheritance of the Wuji sect, Zichen said. What? All the inheritance of the Wuji sect? Everyone was shocked. That's right. I received the inheritance, but I also promised to establish the Wuji sect. This is not only a promise to the expert who left me the inheritance, but also a promise to Elder Mo. Zichen looked at LV Peng and said, LV Peng, don't go to the ancient beast realm this time. Quickly build a teleportation formation to the savage land. As for the destination, it'll be the ruins. A teleportation formation from here to the ruins will take a long time to build, not to mention the materials. LV Peng frowned slightly. Zichen shook his head and said it's fine. We'll also need to train for a long time in the ancient beast realm. When the time comes, make a trip to the ruins. I hope that the teleportation formation will be 2-way. That way, if any side is in danger, we can help at any time. As for the materials, you can go to the treasury and take whatever you want. All right then. LV Peng nodded and said, my training this time is also over. Next, I need to study the Tao of formations. Speaking of the Tao of formations, Zichen thought of something and said, I have some things here that belong to the Wuji sect's inheritance. They might be useful to you. As he spoke, Zichen tapped between his eyebrows. Then, a beam of golden light appeared from between his eyebrows and shot towards LV Peng. The golden light entered between LV Peng's eyebrows. A moment later, LV Peng opened his eyes with joy. This is indeed good stuff. It'll be very useful to me. You have to cultivate well and try to break through. Otherwise, once I completely digest the formation inheritance that Elder Mo gave me, as well as the formation inheritance just now, I'll be able to destroy you. You're Elder Mo's direct descendant. Take this too. After the Wuji sect is established, bury him in the Wuji sect. Zichen took out many fragments. These were the Taiji diagrams that had been shattered before. LV Peng bowed to the fragments and put them away carefully. There were still a few days before Wang Qiong's wedding. Large red lanterns were hung all over the Heavenly Brute Pavilion's territory. As the wedding approached, the teleportation formation in the market almost never stopped. Many factions came to congratulate them with gifts, because they couldn't use the teleportation formation on the wedding day, and because the Heavenly Brute Pavilion was too far away from the Wu family. Wu had already arrived at the market before the wedding and stayed in the Wu family's territory. On the wedding day, Wang Qiong, who was wearing a festive red robe, led the experts of the pavilion to the market. They rode a carriage pulled by strange beasts to get married. As for the experts of the Heavenly Brute Pavilion, they were all holding dazzling high-quality elixir weapons and wearing high-quality defensive armor. It could be said that they were awe-inspiring. In addition, LV Peng and Wu Lu were also following Wang Qiong. The two of them were extremely happy about Wang Qiong's wedding. Along the way, Wu Lu joked, "LV Peng, I heard that there are many beauties following the Wu family's young miss. When you go over later, you have to keep your eyes open. If you see any that you like, remember them in your heart and tell Pavilion Master Zichin so that he can be a matchmaker for you." When LV Peng heard this, he rubbed his nose and said, "We cultivators go against the heavens. There's no rush, no rush." Wu Lu chuckled and joked, "It's true that we're cultivators, but we're also humans." Soon they arrived at the market. The strange beasts in the sky roared continuously, and the sound waves spread throughout the entire market. Then the large red bridal carriage was pulled by strange beasts from the sky and directly arrived at the Wu family's territory. Wu Yu's father was already waiting there. Because Wu Yu married Wang Qiong, her father's status in the family had indirectly risen. Wang Qiong landed to marry the bride, but before that he had to give out red packets to everyone. As the overlord faction, the Wu family naturally couldn't marry off a daughter for nothing. They had also prepared a dowry, but compared to the betrothal gift given by the Heavenly Brute Pavilion, this dowry was much inferior. However, Wang Qiong clearly didn't care. He only cared about when Wu Yu would come out. Chapter 7:23. Before entering the Wu clan's main hall, Wang Qiong gave out red packets to everyone he saw. After entering the main hall, the Wu clan served tea and snacks to everyone. Everyone tasted the tea and snacks. Only Wang Qiong was indifferent and absent-minded. LV Peng teased, "What's wrong? You can't wait anymore. It's daytime now. You'll have to wait until night to enter the bridal chamber." "What nonsense!" Wang Qiong glared at LV Peng, his face a little red. The others laughed. Anyone would be nervous about this kind of wedding, and Wang Qiong was naturally the same. After a while, Wu Yu finally appeared. Although they were all cultivators and did not care about trifles, many of them followed the customs of mortals. Wu Yu was wearing a bright red muslin dress with a bright red veil covering her head. When she was supported by a servant girl, there was a clear sound of metal colliding. It was probably the sound of the headwear on Wu Yu's head under the bright red veil colliding with each other. According to the customs, Wang Qiong should be supporting Wu Yu out of the door and into the sedan. When the nervous Wang Qiong went forward, he almost fell, which caused another round of laughter. Then he supported Wu Yu with trembling hands. It was obvious that he was very nervous. After slowly walking out of the door and sending Wu Yu into the sedan, Wang Qiong breathed a sigh of relief. Then the strange beast soared into the sky, and everyone returned. In the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion, the Wang clan came as the main family. After Wang Qiong returned, he had to kowtow to them. All kinds of customs and etiquette were carried out in an orderly manner. The Wang clan's faces were filled with pride, especially Wang Qiong's mother. She was so happy that she cried. She finally saw her son grow up and get married. Next was to have children and hold grandchildren. After the ceremony, it was time for the bridal chamber. Wu Yu was supported by a maid into the bridal chamber. This room was very big and was filled with all kinds of festive items. As for Wang Qiong, he had to socialize outside, so the bridal chamber had to wait until night. Today he was the main character. All kinds of congratulations were heard. Under the cups of wedding wine, Wang Qiong quickly drank until his face was red. During the banquet, LV Peng teased, "Everyone let Wang Qiong drink less. Otherwise, he won't be able to get things done tonight." The crowd roared with laughter, and Zichen was amused as well. "Pavilion Master Zichen, are you envious?" "Actually, you could have done this earlier," Wu Lu whispered to Zichen as she appeared in front of him. Zichen and Yuera were together. When they heard this teasing, Yuera's face instantly flushed red. Then, she secretly sized up Zichen with her eyes. "You little brat, you actually dare to make fun of me." Zichen laughed and scolded. "Pavilion Master Zichen, what I said is true. With such a beauty by your side, you will be struck by lightning if you miss this opportunity." Wu Lu said the last sentence through voice transmission, after which he chuckled and left. Wang Qiong's wedding was a joyous occasion for the heavenly barbarian pavilion. Besides congratulating Wang Qiong, Zichen, who was the pavilion master, also congratulated him. Moreover, as the main character, Wang Qiong could escape first, but as the pavilion master, Zichen naturally had to stay until the end. Ha ha! Our pavilion master is a little introverted. Apart from cultivation, he won't take the initiative in anything else. Everyone can take this opportunity to let our pavilion master drink a few more cups. LV Peng chuckled and said to everyone he met. Thus, after Wang Qiong fled to the bridal chamber due to his alcohol tolerance, everyone began to make Zichen drink. Very soon, Zichen, who could not handle the alcohol, felt a sense of dizziness. It was as if he had suffered a soul attack. "Grandpa, isn't today Big Brother Wang Qiong's wedding? Why are they making Zichen drink?" Linger asked in confusion when she saw that Zichen was in a daze at another table. Sun Jian recovered abdomen and became a cultivator again, but it would take some time for him to reach his original peak. He laughed when he heard this and drank the wine in his cup. However, he didn't know how to explain it to Ling. After thinking for a while, he said, "Today is a joyous day. Everyone is happy." Wang Qiong left, so Zichen, the pavilion master, is the one drinking. Linger was very dissatisfied when she heard this explanation. She snorted and said, "Grandpa, you're lying. They're obviously trying to make Zichen and Sister Yu'er be together." "Little girl, who did you hear this from? Do you know what it means to be together?" Sun Jian asked. "Of course I know." Linger acted like a little adult and said, "It means that Sister Yu has become Zichen's woman. Zichen is our benefactor. When I grow up, I must also become Zichen's woman." When Sun Jian heard this, he quickly covered Linger's mouth and said, "My little girl, you have to lower your voice. Zichen is your master." In the lively atmosphere, Zichen finally drank the most wine in his life. He felt the space around him spinning. The people in front of him were spinning. The entire world was spinning. On his face there was a silly smile. He smiled at everyone he met. He was really silly and naive. Beside him, Yu-er, who had drunk a few cups, had a faint blush on her face. Her every frown and smile was beautiful and moving. The sun set and the sky darkened. However, the banquet was not over. The large red lanterns hanging all over the heavenly brute pavilion began to shine. It was bright red and looked very festive. Zichen's footsteps were light and he couldn't stand straight. However, the silly smile on his face grew. He looked honest and cute. It was enough to drink to this extent. If he continued to drink, he would have to drink too much. Once he drank too much, he would fall asleep. That would be bad. LV Peng and the others looked at each other with a smirk on their faces. Pavilion Master has drunk too much. Let me help him to rest. A Dan primordial cultivator, who did not know better, spoke up. Get lost. Can't you see that there are people around? Why do we need a rough man like you? LV Peng kicked away the Dan Yuan, who was about to step forward, and glared at him. The latter obviously understood, and a smile appeared on his face. LV Peng got up and tidied his clothes. Then he walked towards Zichen. Previously, Not only did they force Zichen to drink, but they also deliberately arranged for a few female cultivators to let you, or drink a few cups. LV Peng, you came at the right time. Zichen seems to have drunk too much. Help him to rest. Shang Guanyu, or said when she saw LV Peng. Ah, he drank too much. LV Peng pretended to be surprised and then looked at Zichen. Zichen looked at LV Peng and laughed. LV Peng could swear to the heavens that this was the first time he saw Zichen laugh so foolishly and innocently in all the years he knew him. Yeah, look, he's about to collapse. Yue said. Then, before she could let go, Zichen's body began to sway. Oh, it's true. Zichen can't hold his liquor well, and he drank so much today. We have to help him to rest. LV Peng looked at Zichen and said, Then hurry up and help him down. LV Peng looked troubled and said, No, everyone hasn't left yet. Wang Qiong has already left, and monks don't drink. If I leave, who will take care of everyone? Then call someone. Yue was a little anxious. LV Peng looked around and said, Look, everyone is drinking, and they're all drinking a lot. If we call them, we don't know who will help who. Then what should we do? Yue had no choice. LV Peng, hurry up. At this moment, a voice sounded from afar. Wait, I'll be right there. LV Peng replied, then looked at Shang Guanyu, and said, Miss Yue, I see that your face is slightly red. You're not drunk, right? Yue shook her head and said, I'm not. Then you're not. You send Zichen back. I don't have anyone here to help. All right, I'll go over now. With that, LV Peng turned and left. The banquet was still very lively, but Zichen's surroundings were empty. Only Yue, and Zichen were left. Yue's face was obviously anxious. She wanted to call someone, but it seemed that no one was paying attention to her. At this moment, even the servant seemed to be gone. Yue stomped her feet and could only help Zichen leave. She naturally knew where Zichen lived. Yue helped Zichen back to Zichen's residence. Let's go. Seeing the two leave, everyone laughed, and their expressions were very wretched. Everyone make a guess. We'll miss you, or still leave the pavilion master's room tonight? Someone said. Bullshit. LV Peng glanced at the crowd and said, Is this something to guess? Just look and you'll know. Everyone laughed and wanted to follow, but they were stopped by LV Peng. Are you all stupid? Pavilion Master Zichen doesn't take the initiative and is thin-skinned, but you is too. If you go up like this, you'll scare her away. Then LV Peng smiled and said, We'll see later. During the banquet, Ling didn't leave. Seeing you, help Zichen leave, she pouted and said, Grandpa, they're gone. If they're gone, so be it. Grandpa should be going too. You should go back and cultivate too. Sun Jian said. I don't want to cultivate today. Ling said angrily, I want to grow up. Sun Jian helplessly shook his head and didn't say anything. Shang Guanyu helped Zichen to his room, then helped Zichen lie on the bed and took off his boots. Zichen was giggling along the way and whispering something, but it seemed that only he could understand the drunken words. Shang Guanyu sat on the bed and looked at Zichen quietly, her face full of happiness. At this moment, the whole room was decorated like a newlywed's room. Even Ling could see the clues, so how could the smart Yue not understand? So, she played along with LV Peng's act. Zichen. Shang Guanyu looked at Zichen. Yes. Zichen smiled foolishly and answered, We're finally going to be together. Shang Guanyu looked at Zichen in a daze. Yes. Zichen nodded, but he definitely didn't know what Yue was talking about. Yue's jade-like hands caressed Zichen's face, and her red lips kissed Zichen gently. Zichen seemed to sense it, and his eyes slowly became spirited, but he was still drunk. Shang Guanyu moved her jade-like hands away from Zichen's face, and her face suddenly had a touch of guilt. Sisters, I'm sorry. There was no woman who wasn't selfish, especially in front of the person she loved. Yu untied her belt, and her clothes slipped under her smooth skin, revealing her skin that was glowing like jade. Her clothes fell off one by one, and her smooth and perfect body was revealed in front of Zichin. Yu's skin was white and dazzling, and the almost naked Yu approached Zichin, her red lips imprinted on Zichen's lips. Zichen felt as if he was electrocuted, and his eyes instantly lit up as if he was sober. Zichen's buttons were unbuttoned, and his clothes fell off one by one. The red candles in the room suddenly went out, and a cheerful and hurried symphony sounded in the room, lingering for a long time. Today was the wedding night. Outside Zichen's room, LV Peng, who had arrived in advance, casually waved a formation and said with a smile, "It's soundproof." Chapter 724. That night, Zichen felt like he had a dream, a beautiful dream. That night, Zichin turned from a boy into a man, real man. That night, Zichin seemed to have dreamt of something even more beautiful than a breakthrough. He was in a half-drunk, half-awake state, in a dreamlike state on the border between reality and illusion, and all his reactions came from his body's instincts. Moaning, panting, straddling, catering. That night was destined not to be peaceful. The next day, early morning, Zichin slowly opened his eyes. He drank too much yesterday, and today he still felt a little dizzy, and he seemed to have had a strange but beautiful dream last night. Slightly opening his eyes, Zichen's thoughts were still stuck on yesterday. It seemed that yesterday's drinking was a little blurry, and his memory was a little broken. Just as he was secretly blaming himself for drinking so much, he suddenly smelled a faint fragrance in the air. It was a very strange fragrance, and it should be the body fragrance of a woman. Then Zichin felt that something was wrong, and his neck seemed to be hugged by someone. Lowering his head, Zichin looked down and saw a smooth, jade-like arm. His expression instantly changed, and he immediately sat up. His forehead was immediately covered in sweat. Then, as he turned his head and looked around, he saw a sleeping beauty with a perfect body lying next to him. Seeing this scene, Zichin was so shocked that he almost screamed. What happened last night? Zichen's face was already full of panic. Looking at the sleeping beauty next to him, and then looking at the bright red hanging in the room, it was obviously a newlywed's room. His heart sank bit by bit. This is a newlywed's room. Why am I here? Zichen's teeth were chattering, and he felt as if he was in a 10,000-year-old glacier. In this situation, he looked down and saw that he was also naked, and it seemed that there was no point in explaining. Zichin felt that his brain wasn't enough to process all of this. He was constantly thinking about all sorts of possibilities that would make him despair. At this moment, Sleeping Beauty beside him moved a little and turned her body sideways. Zichin felt that this was really indecent. The two of them still seemed to be naked, but just as he was about to cover her with a blanket, he saw Sleeping Beauty's face. "Ah!" Zichin screamed in fright. As for Yu, who was frowning slightly because she had just turned over, she opened her eyes. Their eyes met. Memories of the previous night flooded her mind. Zichen's wildness, her own, it caused Shangguan Yu to blush instantly. However, at that moment, she discovered that Zichen's expression was not right. His face was pale, and his forehead was beaded with cold sweat. "What's wrong? Are you not feeling well?" Yu wanted to get up, but her lower body hurt again. Zichen's attack last night was too fierce. "Yu, it's you. What's going on?" Zichen's voice clearly carried a sense of relief. Fortunately, it was Yu. If it was someone else, it would be a big problem. However, Zichen's words sounded like an interrogation in Yu's ears. Yu blushed, but she also felt wronged. Wasn't it the boy who took the initiative to take responsibility for this situation? "You were drunk last night, and Yu explained in a low voice. "I'm the one who's drunk. Yu, are you all right?" Did I? Zichin couldn't bring himself to finish his sentence. It seemed that the two of them were naked, and it was a lie to say that they were okay. Sure enough, Yuera lowered her head and said, "Chin, I didn't want you to. I was willing." As she spoke, Yuera acted like a little girl. "Darling Chin." This greeting also made Zi Chen's last bit of hope disappear. After that, Zi Chen closed his eyes and slowly organized his thoughts. He wanted to organize them, but it seemed that nothing came out. His mind was in a mess. The only thing that was clear was that what happened last night was not a dream, but something that happened in reality. And he, Zi Chen, really did get together with Yuera last night. Seeing that Zi Chen didn't speak for a long time, Yuera thought that Zi Chen was angry. Therefore, as a woman, she guessed that Zi Chen didn't like her. The reason why he got engaged with her was for the Heavenly Man Pavilion. Thinking of this, Yuera was extremely sad. Her radiant and beautiful face was full of grievance and sadness. She couldn't help but sob. Yuera's sobs made Zi Chen's chaotic mind sober up. He hurriedly said, "Yuera, I'm sorry. Don't cry. I will take responsibility for you." "Just take responsibility? Then I don't want you to take responsibility." Hearing this, Yuera was even more certain of her guess. She felt even more wronged. No, Zi Chen explained. "I'm afraid that you will be wronged. After all, we are only engaged. This is all my fault." The wronged Yuera naturally couldn't listen to anything. Zi Chen's persuasion didn't work. He could only use his actions to prove it. He leaned over and gently kissed Yuera's tears. Slowly, gently, and extremely gently. After kissing her tears dry, he kissed Yuera's red lips. Yuera began to struggle. "Yuera, you are mine. You are now, and you will be in the future," Zi Chen said. His voice was firm. He kissed Yuera again. His movements were very gentle. Although Zi Chen was usually a little slow when it came to matters of the heart, his intelligence and wisdom were not low. From Yuera's previous and current actions, Zi Chen knew where his problem was and immediately remedied it. And this method was to let Yuera know that he really cared about her. Sure enough, with actual actions and words, Yuera only struggled slightly this time. Her red lips began to cater to Zi Chen. Tears of happiness flowed out of Yuera's eyes. The scene from last night's dream played out again. However, the difference this time was that Zi Chen was awake. The awake Zi Chen was more attentive and knew how to dote on Yuera. At this moment, the hearts of the two were tightly linked together. After that, all the barriers were no longer barriers. Yuera's face was full of happiness. Her face was glowing and radiant. When the two of them walked out of the room, it was already late in the morning. Seeing the array around them, Zi Chen naturally understood what had happened. He shook his head and smiled. Once again he regained his confidence. Beside him, the happy Yuera held his arm. Zi Chen easily broke the array. Then he went to the main hall with Yuera. At this moment, the two of them were like a young couple. When they arrived at the main hall, everyone was already waiting. Even Wang Qiong was there. Everyone couldn't help but laugh when they saw Yuera holding Zi Chen's arm intimately. Didn't someone say that they had something to discuss early in the morning? Why did they only come at noon? Is it because they are too comfortable in the gentle village and don't want to come out? Lu Peng laughed strangely. You can't say that. It should be said that Pavilion Master Zi Chen is young and vigorous. Wu Lu also joked. Wang Qiong is also young and vigorous. Why is he here? Yuera blushed and lowered her head in the face of everyone's teasing. Zi Chen faced it calmly. He walked directly to the main hall and sat at the head. After that, everyone took their seats one after another. When it was time to discuss business, everyone stopped laughing. Now that things here are done, it's time for us to enter the ancient beast world. Wild Wolf, tell everyone to prepare. We will set off in a few days, Zi Chen said to Wild Wolf. Yes, Wild Wolf said. Wang Qiong just got married, but we can't let go of the Pavilion Master's matters. After I leave, you will still be in charge of the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. Zi Chen looked at Wang Qiong. Wang Qiong nodded. Lu Peng, Stay behind this time and focus on building the teleportation array. If you need any resources, feel free to take them from the treasury. If the treasury doesn't have them, go to the various markets to exchange for them, Zichen said. Lu Peng expressed his understanding. Monk, Demon Ape, you've been in the ancient beast world for a while. What do you think of the Yao clan? Zichen looked at the two. The Yao clan in the wasteland are all arrogant and think they are superior to humans. They will attack humans whenever they see them. In my opinion, we can kill them directly after we enter. Demon Ape was very direct. Monk also nodded and said, that's right. When we came back, the Yao clan had already suppressed the chaotic lands to the point that no one dared to enter the depths. If our people go in to hunt the ancient beasts, we will inevitably have conflicts with them. I also suggest that after we enter, we don't kill the ancient beasts but the Yao clan first. Moreover, if we kill the Yao clan and steal their things, we might gain a lot. The Yao clan is indeed the first problem we have to face when we enter the ancient beast world. The various factions have mentioned many times that the alliance is also because of the Yao clan. However, we can't do it all by ourselves. When the time comes, I will gather all the factions and annihilate the Yao clan together, Zichen finally said. The time to enter the ancient beast world was still not set, but it would be within the next few days. When the crowd dispersed, they jokingly asked Zichen if he wanted to hold a wedding. I can consider that. Zichen smiled. The factions that came to attend the wedding left one after another. When they found out that Zichen and Shangguan Yuer's relationship had improved, the Shangguan clan gave up on bringing Shangguan Yuer back. You really don't want to consider it? Zichen looked at Yuer beside him. Yuer lay in Zichen's arms, her face full of happiness. I'm very happy to be with you. As for the wedding, we can postpone it, but you must bring me with you when you enter the ancient beast world. Okay. Zichen did not hesitate and immediately nodded, saying, I will protect you. I don't need your protection. I am very strong, Yuer said seriously. Okay, you will protect me when the time comes. Zichen smiled. 3 days later, Zichen announced that they would enter the ancient beast world. The people from the Heavenly Man Pavilion were already prepared. Just as Zichen gave the order, Wild Wolf gathered everyone. The Tyrant and the Demon Ape also arrived very quickly. Yuer and Zichen were the last to arrive. Let's go. The group entered the market directly and stepped into the teleportation formation to reach Chaos City. In Chaos City, the leaders of the overlords were already waiting. Then, the group entered the ancient beast world together. Chapter 725. The leaders of the various forces gathered to discuss the matter of the demon clan, including the heads of the 5 overlords. They came with Zichen. The emergence of the world of ancient beasts opened up a new world for the Bedlam lands. Not only were there ancient beasts, but there were also mineral veins and spiritual herbs. These resources were enough to change the current situation of the Bedlam lands and double the strength of the various forces. But before that, they had to get rid of the demon clan that was blocking their way. The demon clan has gone too far. Not only have they defended the inner area, they have also been attacking us from the outer area. They want to invade this place and drive us out. When the crowd arrived to discuss the matter, the cultivator who was stationed here said angrily, You didn't fight back? Zichen asked. There were organized Dan Yuan attacks, and we killed some of the demon clan. But after the battle, we lost more people. The demon clan is hateful and cruel, and they are not afraid of death. If we kill one of them, they will kill 2 or 3 times as many of us, Dan Yuan said dejectedly. From the moment they entered the fringe lands to the moment they encountered the monster race, the Bedlam lands had never won a single battle. After pondering for a moment, Zichen finally said, If we want to defend this place and obtain more resources to expand our forces, we have to defeat the demon clan. But to defeat the demon clan, we have to be united. Zichen had fought with the demon clan in the ancient battlefield, so he knew a little about the demon clan. As long as the overlord force, the dragon men, sent out a signal, the demon clan would immediately rush over and obey the order unconditionally. This time, the various forces were defeated in the battle against the demon clan. Apart from the fact that they were weaker in terms of combat strength, most of them were fighting on their own. They could not form a united defense. Since the formation of the alliance, there have been no internal fights, Dan Yuan said. That's right. We have stopped fighting among ourselves and are united against the demon clan. But the demon clan is too strong. It is indeed difficult to fight them. Zi-Chen looked at the crowd and then glanced at the heads of the overlords. He said seriously, "What I mean is that we should unite against the demon clan, not stop fighting among ourselves." "Isn't that the same thing?" A core cultivator asked blankly. A cold smile appeared on Zi-Chen's face as he said, "Not fighting among ourselves doesn't mean we need to be united. What we need to be united is to gather everyone together and attack the Yao clan with all our might. We don't need to be scattered like sand." As soon as Zi-Chen finished speaking, everyone's expression changed. What Zi-Chen meant couldn't be any simpler. Everyone understood, but they were all humans with sharp minds and intelligence. It was easier said than done to unite. Even if many people knew about this problem, who would have the courage to gather everyone together? There might be overlords, but there were 5 of them. Even if there were leaders, there would be 5 of them. With 5 leaders, their opinions would naturally not be unified, and there would be disagreements. Furthermore, each side represented a faction, and each faction had many Dan Essence experts. This would also implicate their own interests. Unity was easier said than done. Everyone was silent. Zi-Chen glanced at the crowd with a cold smile on his face. Everyone had their own plans, and he was no exception. Many forces had invited the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion to join because they had taken a fancy to the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion's combat power and wanted them to exterminate the demon clan. However, how could a small Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion destroy such a huge demon clan? Furthermore, Zi-Chen did not want to push the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion into the heart of the struggle. If they really defeated the demon clan and angered them, they might cross the border and attack the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion. Then, these allies who benefited from it might immediately become enemies. To prevent such a situation from happening, Zi-Chen could only unite all the factions to deal with the demon clan. It didn't matter whether the factions were big or small. In such a situation, they didn't have the strength or experience to be the leader. What they needed to consider was the overlords. However, there was only one leader, and it wasn't suitable for any of the 5 to be the leader. The expressions of the 5 of them changed. They were hesitant and couldn't make a decision. After a long while, the 5 of them looked at each other and finally accepted Zi-Chen's suggestion. "All right, let's form an alliance. The 6 of us will be the leaders." The overlords had expressed their stance, which obviously confirmed the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion status as an overlord. However, after Zi-Chen heard this, he was so angry that he almost laughed. The opinions of 2 leaders of a faction would already be divided, let alone 6. Zi-Chen shook his head and said, "An alliance can only have 1 leader and 1 person who has the final say. If there are too many people, the alliance will lose its meaning." After Zi-Chen said this, someone was unhappy. "Zi-Chen, what do you mean? There's only 1 leader and 1 person who has the final say. Are you talking about you?" Zi-Chen smiled and said, "I do have the intention to be the leader, provided that no one objects." As soon as he said this, everyone's expression changed. The faces of the leaders of the overlords also became unnatural. "Of course we object. What right do you have to lead all the factions in the land of chaos? Do you really think that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion is above the overlords?" Another Dan Yuan said. Zi-Chen ignored him. This kind of person wasn't worthy of Zi-Chen's emotions. He only looked at the overlords and asked calmly, "What do you think about this matter?" The people from the overlords looked at each other when they heard Zi-Chen's question. As overlords, they were more far-sighted and had more misgivings. If Zi-Chen became the leader today and was above them, it would undoubtedly mean that the Heavenly Barbarian Pavilion was above the overlords. Although this was just an empty title, as an overlord, they couldn't ignore it. Ziqin, let's discuss this matter again. After hesitating for a moment, the leader of the Wu family said, when it came to their own interests, the position of the former allies was no longer firm. The others also nodded and said, that's right. This matter is very important and needs to be discussed. It's just a matter of finding a leader to listen to his commands. How can this be considered important? Besides Ziqin, the devil ape sneered, do you really think that our pavilion master cares about this position? What bullsh *T leader. Our pavilion master doesn't care about it. The devil ape's words were very disrespectful. While everyone was embarrassed, there were also people who showed dissatisfaction. Since it's an important matter, let's discuss it properly. We still have to hunt ancient beasts, so we'll take our leave first. After saying this, Ziqin turned and left. The monk and the devil ape followed closely behind. What's there to be arrogant about? Do you really think that we can't defeat the demon race without you, Ziqin? Ziqin led his people away. Some people were extremely dissatisfied with Ziqin's attitude. The overlord's expressions were also very ugly. Ziqin's actions today really didn't give them any face. Ziqin is right. If we want to defeat the Yao clan, we need to be united. However, unity has nothing to do with the leadership of the leaders. As long as we deploy everything, we can destroy the Yao clan if we work together, a leader, Dan Yuan, suggested. That's right. As long as we are united, we can defeat the enemy. As for Ziqin saying that he only needs a leader, that's only because he wants to fight for credit and suppress the overlords. This suggestion was unanimously approved by everyone. Then the alliance was formed. It was jointly led by the leaders of the 5 overlords, and the others would cooperate fully. As soon as the alliance leaders came to an agreement, before anyone could congratulate them, a deafening battle cry came from outside the encampment. The demon race is here again. Not good, the demon race is here again. After the battle cry, there was the sound of energy clashing. Then there were all kinds of panicked voices from outside. Let's go out and take a look. The leaders of the 5 overlords were the first to speak. Then they took the lead and rushed out. Everyone followed in a line and saw a chaotic scene. The demon race was charging aggressively. The humans who outnumbered the demon race were actually fleeing, except for a few who were fighting back. The fierce battles over the past few months had made them afraid of the demon race. At this moment, before the battle even started, they were already afraid. The battle had just started and it was already chaotic. Seeing such a scene, one of the leaders couldn't help but shout, "Why are you all running? Hurry up and kill the demon race." However, his words were only effective on the cultivators of his own clan. The cultivators of other clans ignored him. Those who were supposed to run were still running. Don't run. Hold them back. The 5 leaders who had just formed the alliance also began to command loudly. Screams, commands, sinister laughter, cries for help, all kinds of voices overlapped. The already chaotic battlefield became even more chaotic in the next moment. At this moment, everyone seemed to have become the leaders and were commanding the troops. However, the more they commanded, the more chaotic it became. In desperation, the overlords could only shout, "All right, everyone spread out. Command your own clans and then go kill the demon race." The Jinyuan of the various clans spread out and began to search for their own clans in the chaos. After finding their own clans and fighting back, the people of the various clans had the ability to fight. Go up. Why didn't your Lu clan go up? Why did you retreat? One of the leaders shouted at the Jinyuan who were retreating. Didn't you all retreat? That's because the demon race is too strong. We can't hold them back. We're the same. Too many Jinyuan died. The moment they formed a fighting force, before the other clans could fight back, a few of the leaders who had the intention to signal for their own experts to retreat and conserve their strength. 1 or 2 of them didn't make much of a difference. However, when the number of retreating clans increased, the signs of defeat were very obvious. Therefore, a strange scene played out. The humans who had formed an organization kept retreating in the face of the demon race who had fewer people than them. They fought as they retreated. Their morale became extremely low as they retreated. On the other hand, the demon race became braver as they fought. Their morale was high. When the leaders of the overlords saw this scene, their noses were almost crooked from anger. They couldn't wait to go up and slap these leaders to death. At this time, shouldn't they attack together to destroy the demon race? However, everyone wanted to preserve their strength as much as possible. Everyone wanted to preserve their strength. If no one went up to fight, how could the demon race be destroyed? When they gave the order for everyone to fight back, the people who had lost their fighting spirit would only be courting death if they went up. In the distance, Zichen and the others watched this scene coldly. "Let's go." Seeing that the various clans had begun to organize their retreat, Zichen turned his head and left with his men. He didn't participate in the battle.